Hello and welcome to another episode of the Vault Dwellers podcast. With me as always, favourite co-host, artist extraordinaire, Gary Moore. Gary, what's happening?
Hi, I'm glad to be here. I feel like I've done this before. Episode 17. We're here. We're ready for some My Hero Academia Season 2.
That's it. And Gary's not referring to the fact that we've done My Hero Academia Season 1. We had a wee bit of technical glitch and you just missed the best joke ever. Let me just tell you that.
Amazing. It's amazing.
Tenacious D's got nothing on me. Let me just tell you that much. As Gary says, we're here for My Hero Academia Season 2. And I'm hoping that it's going to be an absolute buy-on. I think we should be able to cover just about everything, but there is a lot going on in this season. So, if we miss anything or if we miss one of your favourite bits, then leave a comment down below because we'd love to hear from people on these episodes. They're pretty cool. Before, Gary, we get into our usual segments, I would just like to take a wee minute, just because this is a wee bit of an episode that might draw in a wee bit more attention for ourselves and new listeners and the likes, because I typically sometimes always probably forget to intro that this is the Vault Dwellers. We are two friends, a 10-year dream in the making, bringing in our good friend Hoodie as well, and we're coming to the table with all sorts of topics, from anime to movies, TV, conversations about holidays, that kind of good stuff. We've done a lot of gaming ones this year so far, so it's pretty good to break the mold and kick off March with a wee episode of anime. So yeah, check us out. We're good. 17 episodes. I think there's a couple of special episodes as well that aren't numbered, so we're probably about 20 strong. I'm sure there's something in there, because you'll never get caught up. There's just too much. We're just too good. We've got too much content, but cherry pick your way through it, and I'm pretty sure you'll find find a good one in there. So speaking of previous episodes, we have laid the foundation. We've signed the contract. We've done the deed. This is our contractually obliged episode. Shout out for Rahul. I hope so. Shout out to you, our lawyer Rahul. Appreciate it. I'm sure you're watching or listening. And yeah, take a wee note in the book where it officially says thank you to Rahul, our lawyer. So that's us for. That's it. And Quizmaster number one. I'm quite excited. You should actually, that you've mentioned that, you should really check out the last episode if you have a kind of gaming inkling. We managed to get Rahul, who is a lawyer in the video game space. Really cool, super cool job. We managed to talk to him a little bit about how he kind of found his footing in the space and that kind of thing. And he also set up a quiz for us, like something that me and Gary could never have done. Was setting up this quiz, and it was pretty fun, really good laugh. So we're hoping. And Rahul's already committed. There's video evidence up to do future episodes. So we're pretty excited about that as well. So let's get kicked off then with Gary's favourite segment before we get into the actual main crux of the show. We always like to start our episodes with what have we been playing. So Gary, what have you been playing, mate?
So over the last month, I've been playing Hogwarts Legacy. I really enjoyed it. I've completed it. Took me about 48 hours, maybe. That's probably what my clock was. It was around about there, 48, 50 hours. I really enjoyed it, but it's just one of these games towards the end. I was a wee bit like, right, I'll time to move on, but I think you get that with every game. But playing this game was just magical, I feel like. It's one of the games that I'll look at and I think to myself, like, I would love to see this in a property that I like. Like, I'll look at this game and think to myself, I would love this to be like a Lord of the Rings game or something like that, or a Star Wars game, because they just go so deep with this. It's the literal game that everybody wanted when they used to watch Harry Potter, like when they were younger. You're literally living and breathing in this in Hogwarts as a student, and it's so good and well realised.
Yeah, it's funny when you said when I think to myself, I just instantly go as trees of green, red roses too.
I see me from you.
I couldn't help. It's just it comes to mind. It's crazy. Apologies for derailing the Hogwarts thing, but I couldn't keep that to myself. It was a belter. So I sorry.
This game really reminds me of Arkham Asylum, the Batman game, because the way that this is realised is it just fills you with so much lore that you don't even know if you want or need, but it just does it in such a fun way that you just explore it. Like, see, every time you do one of the field guides, you do this field guide, it's like Revelio, and it reveals a wee scroll. You walk up, you press the scroll, and it tells you literally 2 sentences of what the thing is. And I would just stop every single time. I would read every single one of them, even though if I'm not even interested, not even if I'm doing it, it's not even a part of a mission. I was just taking it all in, and then I loved it, absolutely loved it. This game is definitely a solid, good 8. Definitely, the graphics in it are beautiful.
Yeah.
See when you are walking that first time. I'm not spoiling it, but the first time you walk to Hogsmeade. And I was just walking over because I didn't have anything to fly or anything like that at that point. And I just looked back and I looked over at the castle and I was like, this is just fucking amazing. It looks so good. And your wee guys I'm playing as a guy, and his wee capes flapping in the wind and all that. And I'm just like, oh, this game just looks so good. I don't know how the hell this game's going to run on a PS4 or a Switch or whatever it's supposed to be running on. I don't understand that at all.
I know they've done say The Witcher and stuff like that on Switch. They just kind of strip it back, which is fair enough. I think if you were looking for that kind of experience, you definitely get it something completely different.
Oh, definitely.
Whenever it kind of comes out, but it's strange when you just mentioned about the cape flapping in the wind thing. Like, do you think it's just a pretty windy place that it seems to always be flapping? Like, it's as if somebody's following them with a big fan, just over the shoulder. Like,
do you know what's a funny thing? Like, with playing this game, do you know watching I've obviously seen it on Harry Potter films, and how many times they're in Hogwarts, and then it wasn't until I played this game, and I'm like, oh, hi, they're in Scotland. This is in Scotland. How did I forget this? And they lean into it quite well in this. You get a lot of costumes that are tartan or Celtic kind of inspired and stuff like that, which I really enjoyed as well. But it's a great game. I love kind of these period games. They'll just fit into I know this is a magical, mythical kind of 1800s, but it's still, you've got that what they're wearing the wee shorts and stuff like that to school, and I don't know, it's just, I've written about it. I've just really enjoyed it. There's some things that I don't enjoy, like the puzzles, and there's way too many collecting stuff. There's just so much. I think the Merlin trials, if anybody knows what that is, I'll just not explain it, but they're just basic puzzles. But there's 100 and something, and it's just it's just ridiculous.
When I first came across one, I'm like, oh, these are quite neat, and then it's I was like, how many of these is there? And after the third or fourth one, I'm like, I don't even want to do these anymore. I don't.
Yep.
I really don't. I just don't want to do these. So I just every now and again, I'll come across one, and it's on my way to do something, and I'm like, oh, I know how to solve this one. They're not difficult, but some of them I'm like, I just can't be bothered.
They're not difficult, but sometimes stuff's miles away where you wouldn't even think. So even I'm thinking of a puzzle, I'm thinking I've written a need must be in walking distance. I'll be able to see it. But there was one. It was a big boulder you have to push into one of the wee divots. But it was up the top of this mountain, and I was like, how would I know that was up there? There's no trail. It doesn't show you. How would I know there was a ball all the way up that mountain? And it wasn't, because I was going to fly away, because I was like, I don't know where this is. And I went to fly away, and I was like, there's that big massive boulder up here. And I was like, how would you ever have found that? Naturally. That's just a one negative thing. I think some of the characters, I really like the characters. I think with most RPGs, the side missions end up being the missions that you like the most, and you get more most like enthralled in, and that was exactly what happened to me. You know, the main story at the start, I was like, oh, this is really good. As it went on, I was like, oh, aye, right, whatever. Not really bothered about the main story, but it was the side quests with like your classmates and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I'm starting to get into this now, and actually interested in these quests more than the main thing. But
Yeah.
sometimes that happens.
I did a pretty good, side quest game. I think the one of the biggest things, because we may as well talk about it together because we both played it, but probably one of the strongest points for me that I've enjoyed the most has been the fluidity of the combat. I think obviously I tend if I'm trying too hard, I start to mess it up a wee bit. Because if I'm like deliberately trying to do like a specific combo or try to do something, then it does get a wee bit much for me just to try and remember where everything's mapped to and stuff like that. But generally, like if I've done a few things within the quick setting groupings of the spells, whatever, then there is a lot more. There's a lot more spells than I thought there was going to be. As
Aye,
much as
definitely.
a lot of them are, different repetitions of the same thing, in terms of, you're pushing them away, bringing them back, and then it's making them spin. And it's a lot of them are
Yeah,
just
yeah,
variations of the same thing, which is fine, but you can genuinely kind of fight a lot of people. I mean, I probably played the same as you. I can guess that if you were heading towards, an encampment, you would, go in the incognito and start sneaking and taking out everybody, and
yep.
that's exactly the way I done it. And then if you get caught, it's like showdown at high noon, where you're just like, and you're just setting about everybody. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's how I kind of played it as well. It's
Yeah.
just let's go to town.
I have to say, I think the combat's much better than I even anticipated it was going to be. You know, when you've seen the trailers and stuff like that, and then it's just like it just looked like it was going boom, boom, boom with his wand, and I was like, that just pure makes me think like Dragon's Age, like when you used to go on mage and it was just literally like X X X X, and it was
Yeah,
just constantly tapping, and it was like that's going to get so boring. But actually playing it, there's a lot more to it, and a good thing is it's a good thing and a bad thing. You can map the spells to different layouts on your controller, which it sounds complicated, but it's not really. Once you start getting used to it, but try to find where they are, where you've put them, because as I said to Sean, we were talking the other day about it. Like as soon as you go to something like like you try to catch an animal, but you need all these different spells, and you map it to this layout, and then you run into somebody, and you go to fight, and you got to go use your spell, and you're like, oh, I've got all my stuff for trying to catch animals on this now, like. So that can be a bit frustrating, but it is the combat is good. The only thing is the game falls into the whole try to make it difficult towards the end. I mean, no spoilers, but they do the we're just going to give you more people to fight rather than make the combat harder at the end. It's just
uh,
like I mean, I think literally one of the last fights you're fighting maybe about 12 people, and it just becomes pure unmanageable. Like it's just a bit ridiculous towards the end. I don't think I really died in this game. Maybe stupidly died by accident, or as I say,
I walked off a
rang
cliff
late.
once. That was my death.
That kind of stuff, you know. But that last fight, I died twice, and I was like, this isn't fun. This is just you've just threw hundreds of people at me just to be like, oh, this is a difficult part, but it's no difficult. You've just made me go, oh, this combat isn't good for many people. No, you know, that's what I took away from it more than oh, this is the difficult part.
Aye, no, that's fair enough. I mean, I think different different games kind of go different ways with that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
I don't think there's too much they probably could have done in the way of difficulty on some of them, other than make sponges and stuff at one point, because
Mm-hmm.
it does feel like you're pretty invincible for the most part.
Yeah, yeah. It's
But
a good game though.
yeah, I think it's just if you're getting into it, and it's as Gary mentioned, there's a few different stuff in terms of outfits and stuff. I think one of the coolest things of the game we've maybe not touched on just before we move on is like the idea that you can appear to be anything You know, that if you're wearing this particular outfit and you don't want to change anything, you can just change the appearance of the item that you have as long as you've unlocked that item. It does, even if you sell it, you've still got the ability to change it or hide it. So hide glasses and hats and all that kind of stuff. So I quite enjoyed that side of it, because then it means your kind of character looks how you want them to look, rather than a bargain bin.
Yep.
Which
Yep.
some games are kind of like. But
Can I just say one last thing about this? See, when one thing that this game doesn't have is a sell all, and it's like,
oh
come
my god,
on, you need to
aye,
have a sell all. Like,
aye,
sometime at the end, like, I had about 45 slots, and you literally need to press and hold X to sell just one of
aye,
them. And it's
aye.
like, oh, come on.
I don't get it. And you have to like go through everything and all that. Like,
Aye.
just like, I don't understand how somebody. I'm sure it's oh god, who bloody makes them now? Ubisoft. What the heck? They have like a mark as junk button on theirs. I don't understand why nobody else has done that. Like, to
Yeah.
just sell all, or mark to be sold, or mark as unwanted or something, and it would just get it out. Like, there's generally nothing really, like, until you get to near the end, if you want to start like upgrading stuff or equipping stuff to things or whatever. Like, it's just level. It's just one number. So if that number is lower than your number, I want to sell it. So just mark it as junk, and that's it. And then you can just be done. It's not like Skyrim, where the vendors have like a limited budget. They seem to have infinite monies, and you just keep selling your old shirts to them. So it's a bit strange in that sense. But it's as you say, it's a good 8. I would probably agree with that. It is a really good game. There's just a wee bit more it could do with maybe just having a wee bit more, and a stronger main story would maybe help as well.
I think if you love Harry Potter, like, in the kind of wizarding world, this is just like, I could imagine this being a 10 for people. Like, I love this world. As I said, if it was like a Star Wars or maybe a Lord of the Rings, I would have been like, fucking screaming for the rafters. This is the best game ever.
So have you been playing anything else?
So I started after I finished Harry Potter. I keep calling it Harry Potter. Hogwarts Legacy. I started Mafia Definitive Edition, the first one. Really good. Really enjoying it. It's you can for it being a definitive edition. I thought they would have did a wee bit more with it. It looks good. Graphics are good and stuff like that. But it plays still really old.
It's quite clunky, isn't it?
Which I thought
especially the driving.
I think Mafia 3, I don't know, I don't even think a lot of people like that game, but see the way the character, I can't remember his name, is it Clay or something like that? See the way he moved and stuff like that for ages, like, I think till up to about Red Dead 2, he was my favourite, like, character model to move about, because he felt like a real person. He felt so grounded, and everything he done, like, he would be trying to shoot, but he wouldn't be like, I don't know, he just looked real. He just looked like a real character, and I always loved the way that he looked when he was like fighting and stuff like that. And I just think to myself, how could you know if you're rebuilding this game? Why could you not just use like him? Like, why could you not just use that character?
You've got
model?
it there, so
You've got it.
just
But they
figure out a way
haven't.
to do it.
It feels like they've went, oh, we'll just still use the old system, but like make it look much better. So it's just a bit strange. Sometimes you're in a fight, and it's just like, it just feels pure ancient now. For a game that was supposed to be like a rebuild like a couple of years ago. I don't know. I feel like they kind of half-stepped by this game a wee bit, but I'm still enjoying it, actually. I think, as I said, with Harry Potter, like Hogwarts, sorry, it's another period game. That's what I love. I just love like this like 1930s gangster stuff, and it's just like, that's what you imagine when you think about gangster stuff, and it's just living in this wee old world. It's good.
Cool. Nice.
That's what I've played.
I played it. I played that a few years ago now, I think it was, and I really enjoyed it when I played it. It was just quite a quick game. for me at the time, amongst others. I didn't really loiter on it. I think I just kind of beasted through the main story, and I did really enjoy it, but I'd never played it before, so.
I don't think there's anything else to do apart from the main story. I don't think they give you an option to do anything else. I don't think you can really like just drive about or anything. I think it's literally like story to story to story, like an old game would be. Can I just say, see that Grand Prix bit? There's a bit of a Grand Prix in it, and fuck me, man, I had to do that 3 times. And do you know the first time I done it? I was first, and there was people right behind me, and I was going round the last corner, and somebody fucking hit me. And I fucking spun out, and I was like, "Yeah, fucking dirty bastard!" That was 5 minutes. 5 minutes I was doing this, and literally the last corner, and I was like, "Oh no!" Then the second time, I just pure fudged it myself, but I was raging. I was like, "This isn't even fun. Can I skip this?"
I love that when games when like the skip feature comes up, you're like, "Oh my god, my saviour!" So no, that's good. I quite enjoyed Mafia. It's a good shout. Probably if I was going back to replay any of them, I would choose the over any of the other ones now that I've tried one. But I'd never played one before, so that's why I thought I would just go back and try it at the time. So that's a good shout. Obviously I've been talking about Harry Potter, and that's what I've played. As Gary predicted, I've not played any more of God of War since the last episode, just because of that game came out, and it was just hard to kind of resist the buzzer and getting to play something that just looked like it would be a really good game. So so that's really the only thing I'd played on the PlayStation. I'm still playing it. I think I maybe, I don't know, almost 30 hours or something like that, and so not too long to go. In terms of get name, I don't think I will mainline it, just for the same reason you said about the side quests and stuff like that. So I'll keep doing those, and just keep pushing on. But I've no really much interest in doing anything outside of that. Certainly no anywhere near this platinum.
One other thing,
mate, you are killing me today.
One other thing about Hogwarts Legacy. See when you get the upgrade for the locks, it says like level 1, level 2, level 3. See when you unlock level 2, I think level 1 should open automatically. You shouldn't need to do that wee game. But doesn't matter. You can go up to level 3 and you still need to do that wee game for every single lock. I'm like, what's the point of having an extra one? You might as well no bother. You might as well just say, do you know what? All the locks are all just this mini game. It's one level. You don't need to do that. There's no point giving me 3 levels and then the level 1 and level 2 locks. Something you're going to unlock automatically after that. That's bullshit.
Anyway, I never went for the other. I couldn't care less about the other stuff, so I never went for the other locks. So I'm happy enough with mine. I don't need to see what's behind door number 2 and 3s. I'm happy enough with doing what I'm doing. So anyway, as I was saying, for somebody's series, can I just say one more fucking time? So the only other game that I've really played, to be honest, I've been jumping between games on the Steam Deck, just trying out different stuff, or just playing different stuff if the mood strikes. But I'd say mostly I was trying out a wee bit of Atomic Heart, and it's really strange. I know it's divisive, by nature, and you can kind of read up on that, because I don't really know enough to talk about that kind of thing, but it's such a strange game, because it wasn't really one that was on my radar until maybe January or something like that. So it's not like I'm like mad hyped about it. When I looked at the trailer and stuff, before it came out, I thought this game looks like quite cinematic, as opposed to you'd be able to do some of the stuff that it's showing you. So I wasn't really let down with how the game is in terms of what it is, that it's just a first person, almost, I don't know, almost Bioshock-esque kind of thing. You've got your gun or your wrench, and you've got the shock ability and stuff like that. They're leaning quite heavily on that side, But the start, I don't understand. Like for a new property, a new IP, I don't really get why they chose to do the very start of the game so slowly. I think it's like the first at least 20 minutes. You're just walking. You can't run in the game at all, but you're just walking, and you start off in a boat that you're not controlling. You get out of the boat and you're walking, and then eventually you go in a lift, and you go up this lift to get a key that looks like a key, shaped, like a key. Get back in the lift that you just came in, all the way back down, walk up to a car, put the fucking key at the door, not in the door, even though it's shaped like a key, at the door, and it automatically opens the car. The car looks really nice anyway, but you sit in the car, this old timey looking car, and then the robot comes and picks the car up. So I've been in a boat that I can't drive, a car that I can't drive, and I've rode a lift, right, in the first 20 minutes of the game, right? So you end up in this complex, cutting out a few bits, but you end up in this complex, and honestly, like I'm not gonna sit here and like shit in the game and all that. I'm probably finished with the game just to cut to the end of the chase. But I was playing the game, and honestly, like the robots in this game are pretty cool, and that they really remind me of like iRobot, that like clean design, that white kind of robotic, almost human design, although they don't have a lot of facial features. It's just that kind of white kind of robot thing, and they have this bit in it where it's like sneak up on this robot, and that's the only time that you can ever sneak up on any of these robots. Like they will see you from a mile away, and it's really funny because they'll be walking, and it's like, and they just see you, and it's like, and they just start walking down slow, and then they just start running, and they get so far close to you, and then they just jump and go to like kick you, like it's like a martial arts expert, right? Now, this is where I really enjoyed it. I mean, eventually you unlock a few different features in the game. One of them is you've got this glove. I forgot to say, the full end start of the game, you're talking to this stupid glove. Anyway, you've got a glove and it can shoot sparks, or there's two other things I unlocked. One of them is like, it's hard to describe without going fully into the game, but it's like a material that has like a kind of effect that if you then shoot this material at somebody and then shock them, it would like magnify the effect of the thing that you're trying to do. So if you try to freeze somebody that has this on them, it's like a stronger frozen effect on them. So anyway, that's so when they're jumping towards you, this is parts that I did like. When they're jumping towards you, you can hit that frozen button and they'll literally like freeze like in midair as they're coming towards you. And if you keep shooting them with it for the full duration of the meter for that you've got, they'll like actually like completely like freeze solid and like kind of 40 degree, and then you can hit them a couple of times and they'll just smash it into pieces. Like there's a couple of good things in the game. I'm like, oh, that's actually really, really cool. One of the other things was there was this wee turret on a table, and I shot the turret, and then I was on a ramp, so I went back on the ramp because I was trying to either heal or do something, can't remember what it was, and I poked my head back up again, and this turret that I destroyed was there shooting at me again, and I thought, what the fuck? Did this reset? Like as if like I've left the area. Like, did this reset? So I was like, can shooting this turret again, and I shot the turret, and a second after I shot the turret, this flying robot came over the full room, goes down to where the thing is, and starts like, and it starts like making this turret again, and I'm like, oh, you're joking! So I had to shoot the flying thing, and then another flying robot came over, and when I shot the second one, that was it. So it's like a wee bit of a kind of game inside the game where it's like, if you're going to take the turret out, you better make sure you take the other two things out as well. So a couple of good systems in the game. I had taken some some notes, because I'd say, you know, it is quite a clever design. It's quite contained. You know, the robots are pretty good. I've only really got so far as to move onto you know, there's another kind of enemy type that was a bit kind of more kind of ghoulish, whatever. They actually look a wee bit like the clickers for The Last of Us. They look a wee bit kind of rotten that way. I don't really know the whole story behind it, but they were pretty cool. But it's really weird. Like, there's not like a weapon wheel. So you've got, like, at one point you can have like 3 weapons, but they use the D-pad to switch between weapons. So they use the D-pad to switch. So it's left and right on the D-pad, right, to switch weapons. But see, on your screen, on the right-hand side of your screen, it's up and down on the screen. So you're going left and right to move up and down. So if you're in the middle and you go left, you go to the first weapon, which is at the top of the bit for the cycle. And if you press right twice, it will go to the bottom one. So you're trying. I don't play games like as much as I would like to. You know, when I was at school, I would come home from school and I'd put my arse down in front of the thing, and this would probably be fine for me. But trying to play a game at night and you're just like, what is going on? Like, you press R1 to do something, and I can't even remember what the R1 button does, but to scan the room, you have to press R1 once and then hold it. So press it once, then hold it, and it scans the room. It's such a weird thing. There's like, it's like it's trying to fit too much in.
One controller.
Exactly, aye. So, you know, like, so you've got an L1 button that does your frost, and then you can equip 2 different things. So mine's is the frost, and the other one's that material I was talking about. And you press the up button, I think, can't remember. You press the up button to switch between them, but it's these really light grey prompts in the bottom of the screen, and the buttons are so small. They look exactly the same as each other. I don't know which one's in. I don't know if I've got the frost equipped or the other stuff equipped. Yeah. Like, just put a wee frozen symbol. You know, put something a wee bit darker, or I don't know, like a 1 and a 2. I don't know how you do it, but how you've done it isn't right. It's just no right. I don't get it. So it's just a bit strange. All in all, I mean, I generally don't like to come on and be negative about games, but that one was really, really strange for me, because you're trying to do all these systems. You've got a pretty good mechanic in there where, you know, if you're shooting the robot with your shotgun and you're shooting their legs, like, their legs will fall off. You know, it's pretty cool. You've got this big axe, and you know, I don't want to admit to it, but I might have took a swing at one of the dead bodies, and the head definitely comes off. So it's, you know, it's pretty out there in terms of like what it can do. But the L1 is a power move. Y is to shot. R1 is to scan, but it's also to collect things. That's what it was. So, like, if you're in like a room, you can just like press R1, and he'll start, like, as if he's like a magnet. He'll start bringing all these bits and pieces to you, but they don't mean anything. It's just words. You know what you're collecting. Like, do you know what it's like? It's like playing a Lego game and you're collecting all the different studs. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they are. You know, when you go to upgrade stuff, there's like all these wee different symbols. There must be about 10 of them, all these different parts that I can collect, and I'm like, this doesn't matter. Oh, in the map, I was in the corridor and I'm like, where am I again? And I pressed it and it's like, map not available, go to open area or something. And I'm like, what? You're the map.
The GPS is the one.
Aye, like, what do you mean go to an open area? Like, it's the fucking map. Like, just show me the map. You know what I mean? I don't, and then there was, like, you know, it's just strange things. Like, they have like that system, like the canister system, like, to open this door you must bring 2 canisters, and I'm like, okay, fine, done that. right, okay, to open this door, you need to bring this wee ball, and I'm like, oh, right, okay, because you can grab things, like literally, like, it's almost like the Force. You can pull objects to you and then like throw them, which sounds easier than it is, because I just drop them down. It doesn't seem to do much, but apart, you can use them. You use them for distract cameras and then sneak up on the cameras. But anyway, you're supposed to think of this. It's supposed to be like a kind of you're holding the ball in your hand. So as you get closer to, as you get near the enemies, you're gonna have to chuck the ball away for you so you can shoot and then go and collect it. But anyway, the ball opened the door. So I've done the canisters, done the ball, done an open a room with like people and stuff like that you need to kind of navigate around, or a puzzle room or whatever, and then it's like back to canisters again, and it was like collect these 3 canisters, and then there was like these waypoints on the screen. Do you know what the waypoints were for? No, for the fucking canisters, for where I was supposed to put the canisters, and I'm like, what is the point in that? Like, tell me what room I'm supposed to go to, and I'll go to the rooms, and then when I collect the canister, tell me where to go back to put the can. That's simple game design. I just don't, or don't tell me anything. I don't put any fucking waypoints on, because you've not got any map, so I'm fucking lost as it is, and you're telling me to go. Honestly, like I am done with the game. I don't mean to, I don't like to be negative, because generally I'm not. Especially with games, I think every game's got its good points. This definitely does have a few underlying good points. There's a good few mechanics in there. It's reasonably hard. There's a few different weird things. There's this robot machine that upgrades your weapons that is very overly sexualized, like to a point that it's so uncomfortable, like with the stuff that it's saying to you, like it's so out of place. A lot of people that I've heard have like an issue with the main character and dialogue stuff. I don't, because I generally don't really. I don't know. I don't really pay a lot of attention to some games like that. I can play games sometimes and not really pay much attention to the story. If I'm enjoying the mechanics of the game, and I was enjoying the combat side of it. I was enjoying fighting the robots and trying to get a good few hits off. But see, when there's like 2 or 3 robots, like you can combine and freeze them and do different things, but I'm at that point where I'm like, I don't want to spend any more time on this, because I feel like it's just too clunky, and having never played, I know, forgive me, but having never played a game like BioShock, I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice by playing something that's modelled after it but won't be held anywhere in any kind of high regard. So I've tried out the new game, I've tried out the new thing. I'll put it away, and I'll move on to something else on the Steam Deck, because I tend to use that for nighttime gaming or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest. I was going to just say, just go and get yourself BioShock 1 and 2 and just play them and just actually see what they're supposed to be like.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is just exactly what all the reviews were kind of saying, that it seems to be a game that it's got a nice style and got a kind of new kind of enemy varieties and whatever else and new ideas, but it just trips itself up, which seems to be what all the reviews are.
Yeah,
So,
it's something I was disappointed to see it getting low reviews, not only because I've got them in the Fantasy Critic, but purely because I like to see new IPs come, and the game did look pretty decent, and I think they really could have had something there. I think nowadays, with the way games are, I think so many games have done it right with so many different systems that I just don't understand why you would take a risk by shaking it up so much. I think as you play the game longer, like they've clearly taken loads of different great systems. For example, the inventory slots look as if they work a lot like Resident Evil, where you go in and it's like almost like a cube type format, where the weapons are like bigger cubes and you've got to fit everything in between. Like, I think that's the way it looks. I didn't have enough stuff in there to make it restricted, but I think that's maybe the case. But there's so much when you go into these upgrade things. and the crafting side, that it was quite overwhelming. It took me, I don't know, the save points are generous, so I'll say that much, but when you go into these wee rooms, it's almost, again, like Resident Evil, like, where you find a safe room again, and it's got a save point. A lot of games do that. Persona, all that kind of stuff, have the safe room, but in the safe room, they've got an upgrade bit. And it took me, I don't know, a good few hours anyway, before I realised that inside those upgrade bits, you can actually craft like shotgun shells. And I wasn't doing that before. I was just like using my shotguns quite sparingly, but you can actually craft them fairly cheaply too. I just don't understand why they wouldn't advertise that a wee bit better, or make that one of the kind of tutorial things that they walk through. Like, oh, by the way, you can also, get ammo. Here's how you do that. Maybe they did, and I skipped it. So maybe you can hold that against me in the comments. But I just think maybe on another day it would be a game that you could grin and bear it and get through it. But I think it's something that, if I'm sitting downstairs and I'm just looking to play a game for a wee while, I maybe be better off just playing something a bit different, because it's just it just seems to be a wee bit too clunky for me. So that's what I've been playing. Apologies that the second part was so down on the game, but it's just one of the things. I'll try not to be too overly negative. I'm hoping that there's enough positives in there. Maybe it's. I mean, I've seen people online that's enjoyed the game, so especially if you've got Game Pass, you're as well checking it out, because it's it's not going to cost you anymore. So download it and see what you think. Hopefully you enjoy it, because I never want to see, I don't wish, ill intent on games because I don't like them. Some people will like them. Maybe I'm being nitpicky, I don't know, but just some of the things in it that I'm like, it just could be a wee bit more comfortable. So
I only like to see games doing bad when they're on Sean's fantasy league. Like to see that Atomic Hearts only getting a 73.
That's 74 rank it got. So that's fair dues. So that is what we've been playing. We do have a lot of different games that we like to play in that as well. So make sure you check by future episodes, past episodes, and stuff like that. We added it as a wee segment a couple of episodes in, just to try and bring a little bit of a time capsule for ourselves, to be able to kind of go back and see. So hopefully you enjoy us discussing our video games, even though we are heading into a very strong anime episode. But enjoy the conversation just the same, mate. So let's get into it, Gary. A big meaty season. I broke it up a wee bit.
Yep.
So I'm going to start off with the sports competition, because obviously, I did put a wee note in the episode that we're going to kind of recap season 1 of My Hero. It's just far too much. If you've not seen it, the gist is we're following one person's journey into becoming a hero, and then all of a sudden the school that they go to gets attacked, and it's just a bit much. And I'm so glad that you said to me that season 2 is a wee bit more back, it scales it back a wee bit, because I think that's exactly what they've done. Right out the gates, it's like there's other students, there's other classes in this school, and we get to see a wee bit of that in this kind of tournament, which I thought was pretty cool, that we were able to kind of see some of these, and we'll touch on specifically one of my kind of favourite ones as we get into the 1v1 battles. But in terms of the kind of kick-off, the whole sports competition, I've kind of put it into the two different events. The first one being the obstacle race. I mean, I think you watched it more recently than I did. I think I watched it a good few weeks ago now in the time of recording, but how did you feel about the kind of the start and the pace of the start of this season?
I like this. As Sean said, we discussed this like when I watched it the first time when I was trying to get Sean into anime, and I really liked it. That, as Sean said, they ended really strong in season one, and it was kind of like, here's the main baddie, they're coming to get you, kind of thing. And I'm so glad that when season two starts, it's just back like, right, we know that happened and we acknowledge it, but let's go back to school because we need to get you back, and I kind of do that. And it was really good that it was really cool that they did this, and then it was like we're going to have a sports competition, and not only is it going to be the class that we know, you've got to be versing the rest of the school as well, like in the first year, I feel like, and the first year classes, which is really cool because I think that's always the strongest point of My Hero is when you actually start to see different people. And it's not just that obviously all the seasons always build in the main class. Like the main class, some seasons will have some people in it, then they may go and you see different people and you get to know their stories. But I like they always kind of just integrate all these different people. And as I say, that's always the most interesting part, I think, for My Hero is when you actually see people. And do you know the thing is, sometimes you see these people and then you don't see them again for about 4 seasons, and then they just pop up again, which I
Aye.
love because it just
Aye.
gives you that kind of world building. Or these people still exist within this world and they're really cool as it, and I can't wait to see them again, kind of thing.
Yeah, especially when you see like different quirks and then different applications of quirks. And I will say, like, obviously they do a really good job. I watch, I think you do as well. We watch the subtitle version of the anime. None of us are fluent in the native tongue, but I think that they could do a wee bit better with the subtitles for the in between the screens, because it's like, obviously if you've never watched an episode of My Hero Academia, you'll be watching it, and then at the mid part of it, it'll like flash up as it's supposed to be going to a break. It will splash up like almost like a player card, where it will have the person and it will have the quirk and stuff. But obviously, as soon as it comes up on the screen, you would be able to read that if you understood the language, but you don't. So then the subtitle comes up,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh, they're such and such, and their quirk is," and then the screen goes away, and then it comes back, and it's a different person. And you're like, "Oh, and their quirk is," and it's like, I know, I'm not following it. And sometimes it's people you already know and stuff, but I just think. I think they could do a wee bit better with
What are you
that kind of
watching
thing.
on? Are you watching on Crunchyroll?
No, I'm watching it on the Funimation app.
Ah, right, okay. I'm watching it in Funimation as well. It was just in case they do it a wee bit different. The good thing about the reloading screens, I feel like the wee player cards is that although the guy annoys me for the life out of me, is the commentator guy. The guy that always speaks like that, the mic guy. He annoys the life out of me, but it's actually quite good when he does like this is Zuko Midoriya, his whatever. But I can't remember what they call them. What do they call them? It's no powers.
It's
Cluck.
quirks.
It's Cluck.
Aye,
That's it.
aye. But see, like, say he does that mainly when it's like during the episodes, though, doesn't he? Like when it cuts to somebody, like as opposed to the at the break when they have a wee bit more variety over them. But he's pretty cool. He is annoying, but he is. It's quite funny to see the different things that he comes out with, especially when he's doing the the co-commentary with like Eraserhead as well, like cause obviously he just sits there and saying, so it's that kind of comedy duo almost, because you get the analysis side from Eraserhead as he's I don't even know if he's speaking originally. Obviously, you can't see his mouth, but I don't know if he's actually talking, and because I think he might say some things, but he is obviously analysing stuff, and it's just giving you a wee bit further explanation in terms of what's like going on at the time. So I thought it was quite good. I was glad that they went and did the kind of competition type thing again rather than just going straight into the battles. I thought it was quite interesting. Obviously, they started off with the obstacle course. They had that robot that they were kind of looking to fight at first, and a few of them that were just I'm off kind of thing, just to try and get away from them. And I thought it was quite cool having, that there's when the Class 1A are obviously a wee bit more akin to fighting these kind of things now, obviously with the fight that they've done at the end of the first season. So seeing Midoriya obviously get his kind of opportunity to take the victories for the first round. I thought it was quite clever how they'd done that. I didn't really see that coming. Obviously, that he's just thought, I'm just going to take a big run and jump here, and then obviously smashing down, with his metal plate in between the two of them. But I really enjoyed, and I'm glad that you had said to me, I'm sure you said to me in the first episode, that you get to see a lot more of Todoroki, and you do see a lot more of him in the second season, which I really, really enjoyed. But seeing him and Bakugo like being the kind of front runners, and then you just see Midoriya just poof, like right past them. Like you're obviously always kind of keen on him, getting his shot, and even when he wins, it's as if he's no one because he's too busy greeting or whatever. Like, it's such a hard watch to be cheering for somebody that cries so much.
The good thing is that lessons as it goes on with this TV season. I think it was Hoodie who was asking me about that, and he was like, I couldn't watch that because that guy just cries all the time. And I was like, honestly, it was like, just keep going because he stops greeting. Maybe about season 4. It's like, he stops. But no, I think you're right. The obstacle course is good because, again, you've still got that very young Izuku Midoriya and his path to become a superhero, and he's still with that way with his quirk that it hurts him every time he uses it. So he's realising, like, I've got a full day of the sports festival ahead. I need to not be using this quirk. And he's using those strategies and he's thinking about stuff, which helps him. It always helps him. And and he goes through that minefield and just thinks to himself, do you know what, this is make or break time. He goes for it.
It definitely goes for it. Definitely goes for it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was quite clever. And then obviously he manages to kind of leave the other two in his dust to claim the top spot. I think it's heightened. Obviously, it's a lot in the first season, but this season they really, really lean on the Bakugo, just no liking anybody. Like he's the only person. Like he's the only one that exists. Like it's him or nothing. And we'll get into a lot more of that probably as we get into talking about some of the other fights and stuff like that. But his absolute disdain for Midoriya is unrivaled. Like it's ridiculous. Like how much he just really does not like this guy at all. Like it's like honestly it's second class doesn't even describe it. It's like he sees him as like third, fourth, fifth class. It's like, how dare you be here? Like, it wasn't enough that he had, he didn't like him first because he was quirkless, and now he doesn't like him because like he's getting a wee bit of attention, and he's exactly so now he's viewed as, he thinks he's viewed as weak. When really nobody cares, it's just one of the things that's quite.
What do you think of Bakugo? I know it's a wee bit going off topic here, but what do you think of him? Is he grown on you? Because he definitely grew on me. I think in that first season, I was always a wee bit like, oh, this guy's just a pure asshole. But then I think as you watch it, you're kind of, as I always, the way I describe him, it's like, but he's our asshole. Like he's,
it's like I would kind of liken it a wee bit if if people are familiar with Walking Dead and is it the two kind of hillbilly-esque? I don't remember what his name is. So that's it, Darryl. I was going to call him Deep for some reason, but that's not right. That's the what's that? For the motorbike game for Sony. Days Gone.
Days Gone.
That's anyway. Sorry, so Darrow, he's like and also obviously he changes a lot quicker than Bakugo does, but I would say like in the first season I'm like, I fucking hate this guy. I just don't like him whatsoever. But as the second season goes on, It's definitely taken a wee bit a shine to him. I'm still a wee bit reserved because we are so attached, to how like Midoriya plays out, and he just cares so much, and it's just the complete opposite for him. And it never once, he just doesn't seem to ever like let his guard down, if you know what I mean. Like he just obviously near the end it's a wee bit better, but even still, it's not really. It's just all about him and him being the best and all that kind of stuff. So
it's what he says at the start when the opening the
oh
ceremony,
yeah,
and they're like, "What do you want to say to everybody?" And he's like, "I'm going to win."
aye, aye,
Yeah, you
aye,
losers.
aye. It's just he's. I mean, obviously, and I don't want anybody. I don't want you to say it or whatever. But you just hope that maybe changes as the season goes on. But I at the minute it's lessened for the first one, but because there's such a strong cast, I would say, in this show, like there is a lot of variety. You're never like, you don't have to deal with them for too long. There's still like
Yeah,
some funny moments, like we're slightly cutting ahead, but there's a really funny bit later, after he's went away and done what the internship, and his hair's like that funny way, and he's back in the class and they're like, oh my god, look at your hair, and he's like, ah! And he's like gets really annoyed, and it shoots up, and it's like, that's not our fault, this is the way that we have to wear it, and then he's like, is it stuck like that, with that kind of good voice. So there's a few bits of levity, albeit not from him, but surrounding him, that make it a wee bit softer to have to deal with him.
One of the other bits in this is when they're trying to come up with their names. They're all picking like nice names, supportive names, names that sound like heroes, and he's like, I'm going to be called Murder Death Bang Guy, and they're like, no, that's not hero name. All right, I'm going to be Lord Murder Blow Up Guy.
He's not exactly subtle. That's for sure. So I thought that the course was quite a good starter. Just to bring different people in. I don't think they really focused as much as you touched on that start there where he goes up and he says that in front of the microphone to them all. Like he obviously before that is in the classroom with all the 1A people, and he's there, and I think it's him who turns around and says like, oh, they're here to see the competition kind of thing. And he just kind of, and then he says something to kind of berate them, and then just walk straight through them, because he does believe that he's better. I think he calls them extras or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
And
he does go like, you can't call them that.
He does it. He's so PC. It's great. I love it. It's really, really funny. I do really enjoy him. He's so by the book. He's pretty funny, man. So there's different moments and stuff. But I thought they started off the competition in the episode pretty well with that, and then obviously they move on to the next contest, which is the cavalry battle that they do, which is like that. One person, it seems to be the steed, if you like. One person's kind of controlling and whatever else, and they're supposed to kind of pair up or partner up. And it's the first time I thought they'd done that really well. Where I don't remember actually know what he's how to pronounce his name now. Sorry, you just mentioned it. Is it Ida?
Ida, yeah.
Ida, right? So he you've got Midoriya, which you should also highlight that I think do they know that he's the highest? Like, do they know the points at the point?
Yeah.
They didn't know that going in because nobody wants to go with him.
Because he won the race.
Aye.
Everybody else got like something stupid. It's like literally like 50 points, 40 points, 400 points, and then Midoriya gets 1 million points.
It's so weird, isn't it? It's so strange, very, very strange. So obviously, you end up getting a kind of mix up of who ends up teaming up with each other. in that battle. So you end up with Midoriya, and then I know the quirk is that kind of shadow.
What's his name again? Hold on. His name is Tokoyami. Yami. What? Dark Shadow. That's
Dark
I always
Shadow.
remember
That's the
him.
one. Dark Shadow. And I think does it know who ends up in with him again as well? It's because it is his
He's
other pal, isn't it?
Yuraraki,
That's it. Aye.
which is Gravity Lassie,
Yeah.
and who's the other person they've got? They've got one other person.
There's definitely a 4. Aye.
Who is the other one?
I couldn't remember. I tried to kind of research, but I ended up focusing more on the kind of latter battles and some of the 1v1s. But they do end up obviously in a good kind of team together, and the idea is that they're supposed to get close to each other to try and steal, the headbands, and then the idea is to try and keep as many headbands as possible to get the highest in the table. And I think if you're below a certain amount of points, you don't have any points, you get put out. So I thought it was quite well played. Like, I didn't really know how they were going to do that. I knew that, Midori would get a wee bit further ahead, but it was quite good that they obviously kept it to the very last beat almost, in terms of how he managed to grab, or how they managed to grab the kind of last of the headbands so that they could score some points. Because of how many kind of these other teams had.
I think what's good about the race and this, it kind of it's starting to show. It's showing people how it's showing us how people are starting to use their quirks in different situations, which is another strong point of My Hero Academia. It's not just all about fighting. It's no obviously that's what you want to see, but it's not all about that. It's all about like how can people use their quirks for different situations. The race, for example, how can people use that to get quicker? How do people use that to navigate? And then with this, it's like how do I use my quirk to defend? And actually seeing different people and different groups try to defend different people, and it's like, well, we'll try to use our quirks together to try to defend this. So what we're going to do, kind of thing. It was really good, and it was good to see. Again, it was good to see all the class who kind of were using people for like 1B and stuff like that as well.
Aye.
You see a lot of like there's that guy. I don't know his name. The guy that's like always just shit talks everybody in 1B. And he just always shit talks everybody in 1A. Sorry, he's from 1B, but he just shit talks everybody. And he just tries to noise up Bakugo in the full race. He just noise them up. But I like that. I do like that's the full thing's good.
Because you get that first taste. I'm sure during the cavalry part, you do get the first taste of Shinso's quirk, where it's the brainwashing one, because he was like they seem like they're possessed almost, when they kind of start speaking about that. So there's definitely something in that, and that you can you get a taste of what's in the reserve of people's quirks and stuff. So I feel like they could almost pull, and they probably do, pull just about any quirk out of the bag.
Yep.
As they move further forward. So I really, really enjoyed that. And then I thought it was quite good that they kind of they built it up to then start, to lead into the 1v1 battles. And I thought that was quite good. It's a bit strange almost, like when you look at it and it's like, oh my, they're doing like this big almost, gladiator style fighting, in front of
strange.
all of these people, you know what I mean? But obviously the idea is that it's supposed to be, almost like a scouting pool kind of thing, a kind of competition for scouting and that. But it's a bit odd to see all these kind of people in the one location. But anyway, especially when it's just like, oh, we're watching like school kids. It's,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
you know what I mean? It's
But
almost like college.
let's watch these 12-year-olds not fuck at each other.
Aye,
That's
aye,
what it's like.
exactly, exactly. So I've got a list. I've tried, like I said, I tried to kind of break them out as best I could when I was looking through. So we might not mention every fight, but I do have the main ones. So I was looking at the we mentioned, I mentioned them a second ago, the Shinso, which is the kind of brainwashing quirk, and he was facing off against Midoriya, and I thought that was such a really good like idea, that it was like, right, we're going to get to see him and how he, how he handles his quirk, because like I do really like it when he's like, "Ah, I only need to use, like, try to limit this to 5% or whatever," and he's got to do something like, and then it will like zoom in, and it's like, you know,
Bing.
and it's just, and it's like boom, and it's such a like unreal amount of kind of strength. So it's quite funny, like, to see that kind of thing. So you're thinking, right, what's he gonna do? Like, how's he gonna, cope in this fight against somebody, because I don't think he fully knows. He's a studier as Midori, but
Yeah,
he doesn't know the other
yeah,
person, doesn't know exactly how their quirk works.
yeah.
And obviously, I mentioned is the brainwashing quirk, but I think it's only if you speak to him, or you
Yep.
respond to whatever it is that he said. So he does respond, and he convinces him to turn around and walk out of the arena. And obviously, it's right as he's about to walk over the line, he manages to kind of muster the strength to basically like break his fingers, which
Mm,
breaks the Shinso's hold
yeah.
over him, which is, we know that Midoriya works a lot. You know, he heals, and the effects are a lot shorter on him for different things. So,
Mm,
but it's still quite a good anticlimactic bit, because you think he's done so well in that first round, that you can't win all the time. So
yeah.
he's going to get a loss at some point. So the fact that they managed to kind of just throw that twist in just as he's about to kind of cross that line, I thought that was
Yeah.
that was pretty good for his character.
And the thing is, it's not really even him that wins it, because that's what he says after it. He's like, what was that? And it's like the first time you actually see All For One like starting to like play into him, and he's
Aye,
like, he's because he just sees like, I think it's like ghosts. He sees like ghosts,
yep,
and underneath this like wee arch, and then he sees like it does that colour thing, it goes like yellow, green, red, and it does all that, and then that's when he flicks his finger, and then after it he's like. What did that? Was that me that did that there, or was kind of him? So it was that. It's the first kind of introduction to actually what All For One power is, with
yeah,
Akira in the way,
aye,
which is good as well to still shoehorn that is he's got a power that he doesn't understand
aye,
whatsoever.
aye. It's not even about like that you can't control it. It's just there's so much still there to be
Yeah,
discovered about. Um, One for All, which I did miss that. Apologies, it was the kind of the ghosts of past that almost that kind of appeared there to help him, which is that's pretty cool to get that undiscovered kind of point. And then obviously he picks up his victory. So the next one, which I felt like I was actually really looking forward to seeing how it was going to play out, because of how Bakugo is. But Uraraki and Bakugo, you think this is an easy dub
mm,
for him. I think he is quite quirky in his nature, and he does obviously get kind of marked as the crowd on the exactly on his side. He's a bit bully-esque almost in how
yeah,
he kind of handles the fight. But I thought it was pretty good. Like the set piece that they introduced in this fight, where she's avoided him basically, while he's kind of blown up the place, and then all of a sudden she's bringing down this hailstorm of stones and stuff like that to try and kind of put her over me. Ultimately, I think she faints or something like that because she ends up passing out, and that's how he ends up. I think he would have put her at the stadium regardless with the power that he's got, but it was still quite an interesting one-on-one to put those two different people together.
Yeah, it's as I said, as I've been saying, it's seeing these different quirks fighting against each other, being used against each other. As you said, it looked like Bakugo was absolutely smashing it at the park, and Madonia actually even offers her help, a tactic that she could use against them and stuff like that. And she's like, "No, I need to do this myself."
Yep. Yeah.
And then even after the fight, Bakugo goes up to Deku and goes, "You told her what to do there, didn't you?" And he's like, "No, if she was harder than you thought, then that was all on her."
Aye.
She definitely gave him a good fight. It's amazing that scene when because you kind of you don't really know as an audience member watching it because it's just a lot of smoke in it because obviously Bakugo's blowing the place up and you're like,
Yep.
is he hitting her? Is he no hitting her? And then she's like, oh, I've been dodging it all that time, and guess what? And all this rubble and a comet worth of rubble is coming down to hit you. But Bakugo just shows his power and one hand just puts something. Boom! This atomic bomb out his hand and just blows it all away. Which just shows you how he was too powerful for her.
It was a bit of a mismatch, but it definitely strung you along a wee bit in terms of try to see if they could keep the suspense up to see could she get a surprise victory, which I don't think they would have let happen because he did take a couple of L's in the first season, so they needed to kind of build him back up to what he was capable and what he is capable of doing. So we'll move on to the next fight because I don't want to I could talk about some of these fights forever, but it is such a long season. So the next fight I was really, really looking forward to seeing because it's got my main man Todoroki in there, and obviously he's up against Deku, and it's funny to see that. Obviously the whole gist of this one, and it's where you meet Endeavour, and you hear about this probably in the first season. I think you hear about it because it's they say about he's only here because it's who kind of thing, as opposed to having to qualify to start the school. He's Endeavour's essentially the second best or second greatest hero to All Might. So the idea that this is his son, and Endeavour's purely based on the kind of flame quirk. To see, I just love that. I've always loved the essence of fire and ice, and that was just such a perfect combination to me. I think his aesthetic is pretty cool as well. That the white and red hair kind of thing. So it's definitely got the kind of it draws me in, the interest, and just what you always say about how people can use their quirks to different advantages. He leans heavily on the ice. He does so in this fight, obviously, because it goes into his backstory that he doesn't want to use the fire because that's what Endeavour wants him to do, and he doesn't want to bet like his dad, and it obviously goes into like the whole story with his mum and that she didn't like the fire side of him because of how abusive Endeavour was to her, that kind of thing. So
it's quite dark, actually, isn't it? It's quite a dark story.
Very dark, aye. It shows you just what kind of Deku is capable of, because he's no like he's trying to get him to. He's like, I'm not thinking until you can use it. You should be using it. You should be using both.
Quirks, says to him, it's yours, no his. It's your
exactly.
quirks.
Aye, quite aggressively too. Like we not aggressive, but quite well, passionately. And so the idea is obviously that he's using his fire so much that he actually goes into hypothermia or whatever, and it starts to play on him a wee bit. But eventually they end up kind of going one-on-one and with the full with his full arsenal, and he ends up using his fire quirk, and that causes Midoriya obviously to go out of bounds. And I don't know what you thought about that fight, but it's just one of the things. I thought it's interesting, obviously, to see Deku go up against somebody as formidable as Todoroki, but at the same time, like, I don't know. It's not that I'm like Deku. I want Deku to win, but I just want. I don't know. Not that I wanted them to win, like, but I just probably maybe wanted it to be a wee bit closer, a wee bit more like on his side. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's just leans into the Deku's just so inexperienced with his own quirk. It just leans so heavy into that. Like Todoroki, Bakugo, like these people are supposed to have had this quirk for like what, I don't know, 14 years, somewhere in between that. I think they get it when they're supposed to be in nursery, so they've had it probably for about 14 years, and they've been harnessing this and honing it in, and practicing every day with this. Whereas Deku's only had this for like supposed to be like, I think, 3 months or something like that.
Yeah,
This power.
aye,
No,
yep,
no only does his power wreck him every time he uses it, he's literally getting wrecked in this entire fight. Like everything that Todoroki fires at him, he's like breaking a finger, breaking his arm, breaking his leg, and it's like even if you win this fight, like would you not be able to go in? Like you couldn't have fought
yeah,
the next fight.
no,
You couldn't have went. So I think
no,
it's good to show that as you said with Todoroki, like he's trying to no use this, trying to no use his fire side because he doesn't want to appease Endeavour. By the way, Endeavour, one of the coolest looking characters in this entire series, where that he's got a flame beard and flame hair and stuff like that,
aye,
and he's just constantly got flames on him. It just looks so cool.
aye,
Dark as fuck though. Like that
yep,
backstory, like I'm literally abusing all his Waynes and his wife just so he
aye,
can try and get like his child to be like a number one hero. It's
aye,
really really dark, and I
aye,
actually like that though because I think that's a lot of times when like my wife, for example, like see when she watched that, like she just walks by anime, she's like, oh my god, you're sitting watching anime, it's like a cartoon, like. But then see if she watched that, she'd be like, this is like dark drama, like.
aye.
That's a pretty deep thing to be talking about in like a cartoon. I feel like,
Mm.
which that's why I always like anime because it is like
Aye.
that.
As
It's
my wee
cartoons
nephew
for
says,
adults.
it's not a cartoon, it's anime.
That's that.
That's what he was saying to his mum when she said about it was Dragon Ball Z because he won the Dragon Ball Z jumper, not through not through watching the show, but through the whole Fortnite craze. And I was laughing at myself when she's like, he doesn't really watch the cartoon. He's just like, it's not a cartoon, mummy. Funny one, absolutely funny.
But it was good. It was good to see Todoroki actually start to use it because in this full time you've seen Todoroki, he's only using his ice. So you're kind of like, how strong is your fire side because your ice is pretty
Yeah,
powerful, and then you
yeah,
see him, he combines the both of them, and he just blows the entire stadium up at
aye,
one point,
aye,
and just renders Deku absolutely done.
aye,
He's literally slumped against the wall,
aye,
defeated.
defeated. It was pretty cool. I was the same as you. I was always kind of hoping to see kind of more. Obviously, we see Todoroki's quirk on one of the challenges in season 1 where he just like completely freezes the entire building and walks in and takes whatever it is he's supposed to take, and then he literally like he just touches the building to kind of heat it up, as opposed to showing the quirk of the fire. Like
Yeah,
he's just almost just applying a wee bit of heat there, so it kind of shows that he's obviously he used it at that point just to kind of thaw the place, but it was nowhere near what he eventually ends up using, which is pretty cool
yeah.
when you see it fully unleashed.
I think it's
So
quite cool. It was quite cool what Endeavour said to him after the fight. He's like, "Oh, you need to watch how you use your fire quirk because that was a bit too much." Like, so you're kind of getting that wee bit of story. Todoroki is he doesn't use his fire, like, so he's a
aye,
wee bit like he doesn't know how powerful this can be
aye,
mixed with his ice. So I thought that was quite a nice wee like throwaway line that Endeavour said.
aye, no, exactly. So that teases up quite nicely the fact that he's unlocking that. I mean, even without his fire quirk, I was still, would have enjoyed watching Todoroki squaring up against Bakugo, because it is two of the heavy hitters of the second season, and the fact that he's got kind of fire or whatever, but he's still not 100% there. He's not sold fully on using it. Obviously, he's a wee bit kind of hesitant, but in the end, he obviously eventually kind of starts to kind of take the bait a wee bit. But Bakugo's funny again, because he's not upset that he's not using it for the same reason that Deco is upset. He's upset because he's like, you used your fire quirk against him, and you're not going to use it against me. I'm 10 times better than him. You should be using everything on me, and he's just, he's setting up a lot of, ice traps and all this kind of stuff at him, and the two of them are kind of going blow for blow. Like, it's just that kind of Rocky-esque, both heavy punching with the two of them. I quite enjoyed the end fight. I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I know that Bakugo is this heavy hitting, cocky fighter. I think it probably was important that he did win, just for the whole kind of to show like what he's capable of doing as well, because he's, as much as his quirk is explosive in nature, it's not a high interest one to me, in terms of like what other people can do. Like, I find a lot of the other ones a lot more interesting in terms of how their application is, as opposed to he's just a heavy hitter, a high explosive punches, or he does whatever. Like, that's just how he kind of goes. So it's not to say that he's boring or anything like that. I think he adds a good bit of variety to the season, but it's just that when the two of them are going up against each other, I did think it was going to be, it was really close. I think at one point they were, I don't know, was it this fight that they were talking about possibly intervening on, or was it the previous one with Deco and that? I can't think. It was Deco's one, because it was like he's going to end up killing his cell or hurting his cell. So obviously the two of them go kind of square on Bakugo and that, and Bakugo ends up winning, and obviously wins the tournament. But I quite enjoyed seeing that. I don't know if you've obviously watched it sooner than I did. I don't know if I've missed any main points.
No, I think what you're saying is right. Like, as you said with Deku passionately is trying to get Todoroki to use his flame. He's sitting saying to him, like, use your flame because it's a part of you. Don't use it for anybody else. Whereas Bakugo's just like, no, I want you to fight me with everything you've got because I can show you that I'm better than you. And he ends up not using it. He ends up not using his flame against Bakugo for that reason. Because he's doing the kind of same thing as Endeavour does to him. It's like, use it, do it, like forcing them to do it, and he's just like, I'm not gonna do it. And it's that thing with Bakugo at the end. He wins, but he's not happy that he's won, because he's like, you've like took that away from me now. Like, we'll never know now if I would have won that fight, because you didn't use your fire against me. Even at the end, they're doing like a trophy lifting at the end, and he's getting a medal. It's like, get that medal off of me,
Aye.
And he's
chained up and stuff, isn't he?
He's all restrained and wearing like a Hannibal Lecter mask and all that. And he's like, get me away from here.
I actually forgot about that, to be honest with you, that he does that. I quite enjoyed that, because it's one of the things when you start looking at his character. Like, I think there's an abundance of different stuff, but he just ultimately, he is just one of the characters that it's like, if you're not trying your hardest against me, then it's a slight on me. So you better try your very best, or else I'm going to come for you. Almost that seems to be what it is, as more than anything else. So obviously, what we've done there is we've seen the 1v1s. Thought it was big. As just said, you see him all kind of locked up, and that's how we kind of we close the ceremonies, we obviously see Todoroki come back to see his mum and that as well, which is a nice kind of touch to see that happening. And we also get the news that Tenya's brother's been hurt by a villain, which obviously causes him to leave the tournament, which it was kind of mad seeing that actually, because it almost felt like a end of like a kind of cliffhanger type thing, like an end of season situation when that happened. I thought that was quite interesting to just to throw that kind of thing in there. And in the end, he's no. I thought it was him. I thought he was pan breed, as we would say. But he ends up kind of being in hospital. But that obviously leads us into the whole kind of internship side of things, where they have to go and pick different I think it's kind of basically like agencies to work for, which the way that they kind of put it is, if they don't usually take like first years, but because this 1A these kind of 1A people are so good because of what they've demonstrated at the tournament and what they've demonstrated in the in that first season, that there are obviously a lot of people are interested in them, especially Bakugo and those kind of things. Although it's interesting just to see the different styles of agencies that they all end up in. I quite liked the we'll probably end up kind of jumping around and then focusing solely on the kind of hero killer side, but I quite liked the variety that they showed, especially like say when you look at the internship that one of them ends up on, which is on the fishing boat, it's all about like the kind of the captain kind of thing. That's it. Aye, so it was quite funny that he ended up that, because it's like anything the captain says, like that's just what it is. Like that's the answer. Like there's nothing else that's going to like stop them or anything like that. I can't remember that person's name. Is it Aisio? Aisio, that's it. Aisio.
Call me Sue.
The kind of frog type kind of thing, which it's quite interesting. Obviously, seeing that and how they kind of play that character and how they play out that point, because obviously he's like this like amazing hero in the water. Like I think it's quite interesting just taking things to the water, because you don't typically see that kind of thing.
I think this is again, as I keep saying, this just is this thing with my hero, and it just shows you somebody that you might never see again. That it just a total different quirk. I mean, the captain's like a sea lion. That's his quirk. He's literally like a sea lion, but he's like a big, massive guy. He's like I don't know what you call that, like a man kind of sea lion. He's kind of like that, and he's got pure weird quirks. Like he can do like radar under the water, there's stupid stuff like that. But he's just like supposed to be this top hero, and it's good to kind of see stuff like that. I like with a lot of them, like when they'll talk about their quirks, they'll talk about their internships, and like you see, you get at what's her name? Gravity Lassie, you're Iraqi. You see her, she goes and she said, I think this needs to be like Machine Head or something like that. And they're like, oh, I'm going to go to Machine Head. And Deku's like, he's like a fighting like guy. I thought you were going to go more into a support role. And she's like, I know, but I just want to get good at fighting because that tournament. And then you see him and he's just like this big, massive guy with like guns and stuff like that, and the big metal. And like she's this just tiny wee lassie, like just. It's quite funny, but it's quite just that funny a mismatch. And then obviously we talked about Bakugo's one. He goes for the number 4 hero, the Blue Genist. And he goes and I don't even know what that guy's quirk is, actually, to be honest with you. I don't know what he does apart from he's got like threads.
No, I know it's weird, isn't it? But it's.
Aye.
I forgot to message you about that guy. The fact that he's got like these jeans like over his face, like
He's got one big pair of jeans that actually goes
aye,
right up to his face.
aye. I don't really know what that's about either. That's a good point actually. And then we see Midoriya is obviously away, partnering up with All Might's previous kind of teacher, Gran Torino.
Yeah.
Which is where we meet him, and it's how he's trying to understand these kind of one for all. Kind of I thought it was quite funny, almost like a mismatch between like that kind of Mr. Miyagi approach and Yoda and
That's exactly what
this
I wrote down.
tiny thing.
I wrote down like old Star Wars Yoda. Like he's that kind of tiny, doty. Like when you
Yeah,
first meet him, he's playing stupid, and
yeah,
he's trying to pretend like he's this old geriatric guy that can't remember like Deku's name. Like Deku
aye.
walks in, he's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm Izuku Midoriya. I'm here for class 1A." And he's like, he calls him something different. He's like, all right, Izu. And then he's like, Deku's looking at him. Then he's like, then he turns around and he starts talking about something. And he goes, "What's your name? Who are you?" He just puts this pure old doty wee man at first, but
Aye.
then you start to realise he's all there in a bit. He was just trying
Oh,
to suss him out.
aye.
And he's got a really cool wee quirk and all. It's funny because when All Might's talking about him, All Might's like pure shaking and telling him about Midoriya, and he's like, "Oh my god, you're going to go see Gran Torino? Oh,
Aye.
he's really hard, and oh my god, he's pure shaking. He's literally
Aye.
shaking." And
Aye.
then you kind of see a silhouette. You see a silhouette of Gran Torino, and he's like this big, massive guy. And then when Izuku Midoriya opens the door, he's like this wee two fit guy.
I quite liked it. It was a good kind of twist. I never seen that kind of coming. I thought it was going to be like, almost that kind of, sensei at the top of the mountain and the Zen Palace. That kind of thing, like where he'd go away and train with sticks or something like that for 2 episodes. But no, obviously we see him. I think there's maybe an episode and a half or so where they kind of show him trying to kind of evolve with him and work with him and trying to learn his quirk. And I can't remember how exactly that they end up in the city, but they know obviously that there's attack on the city, which is from the League. And that's where we kind of see some conversations and stuff where you see Shigaraki, is that his name?
Shigaraki, yeah.
So he's obviously the main villain that you see in season 1, and he's back again, almost Dick Dastardly-esque here. He's back to try and with a new ploy, and he's trying to recruit this new villain, which is wreaking havoc, which is obviously Stain, which we kind of know him as a hero killer, is what I think is in the media that they're calling him. And I thought it was quite interesting, obviously seeing him try to kind of pursue Stain and convince him to join the League, but just purely because of what his beliefs are. He's like, no, I'm in it to take down heroes that are in it for the wrong reasons. They're heroes for the wrong reasons. They're in it for the acclaim, and they're in it for all the perks and whatever else. Like they're not really heroes. They're just they're taking advantage of the system or whatever it is. However he wants to justify that. But I thought it was quite good.
He sort of like Shigaraki. He just wants to take down All Might. He just wants to take down heroes. He just wants to cause destruction. Whereas like the hero killer Stain, he's like, I want the most powerful people in the world. Well, that's that. That's the people who should have powers. Everybody else doesn't deserve to be powerful. Doesn't deserve to call themselves heroes. That's all he wants. He just wants a world of really, really strong heroes that actually can call themselves heroes. And as you say, they'll try to get him to join the League, and they're like, "Oh, come on, join the League, why no?" And he's like, "No, like you're too weak for me. Like I'm not joining you. Me and you are like totally different. Like you're what I hate." And he actually like stabs Shigaraki and all that as well.
It's funny, like to see that kind of playing it that way, because you definitely see it being the old trope where he ends up, where he would join him and he would be his lackey and all that kind of stuff, and it's just like, no, I'm actually just going to go and do what I want to do instead. So yeah, I'm away, and we see him we see him fighting, or he doesn't really fight. It's more a kind of it's more of an assassination type of thing that he seems to be getting into, which is something that we don't see a lot. There's I think a lot of the battles that we see in the show is typical anime-esque, where they have their kind of exchange, their witty exchange back and forward, and then we see one of them try and do a thing out, and then we see the other one like counter his their quirk out, and then then they'll come together to try and there'll be like a who's going to win type situation. That's where they kind of switch things up quite a lot, which I quite enjoyed seeing him, and that's when you see obviously Tenya trying to get some revenge when he's heading into that alley, and that's obviously we know that Midoriya is trying to make sure that, because he knows he knows that's what he's trying to do, that he's going to try and take this guy on, and obviously he goes to try and kind of help him. And I thought it was quite cool, breaking that down. I mean, obviously you said it more than most, that sometimes in animes it can be like 3, 4, 5 episodes where there's like a fight happening and it's just long and drawn out. But I thought they done it quite well in this episode, where they introduced like a different element. It was like, right, in this episode, at the end of the episode, or however it was, I can't exactly remember, but you've got kind of Tenya fighting him, and it's like, right, how's he going to fare up against this like proper killer, and what can this guy really do? And obviously you see him getting a he ends up kind of paralyzed, and that's as he's about to kind of deal the killing blow, that's when you see kind of Midoriya coming in and managing to kind of break it up a wee bit, and then he ends up paralyzed, and you're like, what the hell is going on? And that's when it breaks it down, where it's like, oh, it's when he gets the a taste of the blood, which I thought was quite interesting. I'd never seen that coming. I thought it was just like, if he cuts you with the blade, that's it. But that, again, just what you said earlier, that dark side of the show, they've definitely leaned in on that with this, bringing that kind of thing in, where it's like, oh, by the way, this isn't just about this guy stabbing you and all of a sudden you can't move. Like, he actually has to like taste your blood. Like, that's not something that you would see in any kind of anime. Like, that's good writing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And even the way that they come out it as well is even better. They just keep expanding on this guy. When they start to realise what blood group you're, and the quirk lasts longer, like on different blood types, which is it's just even extra expanded on that as well. But no, I think that I've always said this about My Hero Academia. There is episodes that is like 3 episodes about fighting. Like, I think this is one of them. But as you said, I always think it's well paced. My Hero Academia. It starts off with the Ida like try to fight him, and right at the end, that's when Deku comes in, and then you get that episode with Deku trying to fight him, and then near the end, that's when Deku is lying on the floor, paralyzed, and who comes along? Sean's favourite,
my man, Mr.
Todoroki comes in with his fire and flames. Boof. But I know
it does make a good dent on that side. Obviously, when you see him and you think, right, here we go. But I still think that it's really good though, that it's like, oh, but even he can't like fully take this guy on. Like, it's not just like he's not that powerful. Like, these, at the end of the day, these are still students.
Yeah,
these 3. Eventually, again, because of how his quirk works, Deku obviously, ends up, getting hurt, or, whatever it is that ends up happening to him after, obviously comes back for the paralysis kind of side of things. So it's kind of 2-1, and he still ends up, not quite 100%. So he's a wee bit kind of down and winded a wee bit. And then you manage to, you see Eda just getting up, like managing to like convince himself to get up, like he kind of fights through it, and then it ends up kind of being the three of them, which it
What
just
I
ends
like
up.
about that bit is it does the kind of the role reversal. So Todoroki's there sitting using all his powers that he can muster, his flames and his ice, he's using both in tandem. But then he's the one now that's telling Ida to get up and
Yeah,
help. And he's
aye,
the one, he's doing like what Deku was doing to him during that
yeah,
show.
aye,
He's like, come on, Ida, you need to get up and you need to show
aye,
us how powerful you are. You need to use this for your brother. You need to do this for us. Like, we're a team and stuff like
aye,
that. And the full fight's good for that, like, especially at the end when it's the three of them with 3-1. It's all
aye,
about that. You've realised that these people have fought together, so they're starting to realise, oh, we can use our quirks for advantage
yep,
for each other as well.
aye,
Ida tells Todoroki, like, he's like, oh, my engines and my legs here, which I think are pure creepy. I don't know
oh
why.
yeah,
Like, they're
absolutely.
like they're pure weird looking. But anyway, he's like,
It wouldn't be as bad if it wasn't for the fact that you can see his skin. Like you just see his calves, and then these like exhausts coming out, and it's just like, why put some trousers on? You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't look half as bad because you just, I don't know. It's as if like you're like, oh, what the hell is in there? Like what is in your legs? Like it's just, it's so strange. And then obviously, like, I think he ends up like freezing like one of the exhaust kind of things, and that's like
aye,
how
to
they
make it
end
work.
up.
Yep,
They
yep,
end up kind of coming together and they capture him.
yep.
Which is, I thought it was quite good. Obviously, then they kind of switched to Endeavour, the point of view for Endeavour as well when this fight's going on, and he's in the other side of the city. I think he's fighting the same
The
person.
Nomus.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Aye. So he's fighting. He's fighting them, and I think Gran Torino's in the same place as well, and
Yep,
they're
yep.
going against them, whatever.
Yeah, I think what's really good about that scene is before Endeavour turns up, you've got Gran Torino. He's trying to find out what's happening because these Nobus. I don't know if it's Nobu or Nomu. I'm not really
No
sure
more,
what one it is.
no more.
Nomu. So these Nomus have came to this city, and Gran Torino's like, what's happening here? I'm going to go and find out what's happening. And he goes to all these like heroes, but they're obviously no like number one hero. They're all like they're heroes, professional heroes, but they're not as good.
Yep.
And you see them try to fight these Nomus and they're just getting battered. Like there's
Yep.
about 10 of them. There's about 10 on one. And Gran Torino's helping. Gran Torino's good. He was fighting, like he's probably like one of the better ones. But then just out of nowhere, Endeavour just comes out and starts blasting his fire everywhere. And he's fighting these things one on one and are absolutely tanking them. You know, this Nomu is these ones. I think you literally hear him say it like these aren't as strong as the ones that was in season one. But you see Endeavour literally like they're all fighting. 10 heroes are all fighting this one Nomu, and then Endeavour just comes there and runs there and grabs him by the heat and just like blue fire starts coming out his
Yeah.
head. It just like melts his heat away. He's like that'll no grow back kind of thing.
Aye, aye. I forgot about that. I quite enjoyed that. But I thought it was quite good seeing that side because I think after he's kind of finished, Endeavour turns around and he's like, right, you guys need to take care of the rest of this. Like, I need to go and check in on such and such because obviously Todoroki tells him that I'm going to go and help my friend. Like he's sent this address. Like they don't know what's happening there, but
Yeah.
he tells him he's like I need to go to this address. So he goes. You kind of see that side for him, and when they get there, we see that they've already kind of done the damage, haven't they?
Gran Torino kicks Deku in the face.
Aye,
He's like, "How dare you run away?" Kick right in
aye,
the coon. Which is back to that stupid Yoda like teaching Luke
yes,
thing. It's
aye,
that stupid like. you know. As you say, they all come round and they're all like, "What are you doing? What have you been up to?" And then you realise they're like, "Oh wait, you have actually got that killer
Aye,
the hero killer. You've caught
aye.
him.
You've done the thing, and you know, in the end, you know, he manages to escape. But that's obviously, I think it's a Nomu that grabs Midoriya, and
Yep.
you know they're trying to escape, but Stein kills the Nomu, and then suddenly he's got a hold of Midoriya, which I thought was quite like. How he dies is obviously quite anticlimactic
Mm-hmm.
because you just want to see you want to see him getting taken down by the other
Yeah.
heroes. Like I
Yeah.
think that's how you would want to see that playing out. But they obviously, you know, as soon as he goes to movies, he obviously as soon as he sees Endeavor, he starts raging, you know, calling him um,
A fake
a
hero and
fake
all
hero,
that.
and
Yeah.
you know he's screaming he's you know All Might is worthy, kind of
Yeah.
thing. You know, saying always saying that only All Might could kill him. So, you know, I do like that he goes out, you know, fighting almost. You know, obviously
Yeah.
it's a broken rib that
I think I
kills him.
think I think the good thing about him killing that Nomu is just it just goes to show you like he was just fanatic about his own like
Yes,
principles. You know,
yes,
it wasn't just all about heroes. It just would kill. He was killing anybody that just he thought was insuperior. You
yeah,
know, and that's exactly what he was doing with that Nomu. It wasn't he?
yeah,
Wasn't he? He was got to save Deku. Well, he kind of was because he thought Deku was. He said to Deku that he was worthy. So it
yeah.
was kind of like this unworthy person has got to go and try and kill this guy, and he's like, "No, I'm not having that."
No,
But yeah, right. As the anticlimactic, he's like, right, come on, the only person that's going to kill me is All Might, so he cannot come and get me. And he just freezes, and then it's
aye,
like, oh, we don't really know what happened. And then we heard later that he punctured his one of his ribs punctured his lung. You're
aye.
like,
Which
all right,
is
but
that's weird, isn't it?
but
Aye,
I think it's good to throw like wee wrenches like that in, and it's just like no everything needs to be. You know, see if that was Dragon Ball Z, you know, it'd have been another 5 episodes of fighting. Like,
aye, that's
you know
true.
what I mean?
There's still like so much left
Yeah,
to happen this season. They really could have done expanded they could have expanded it, but they didn't need to, which
yeah,
was really good. It was a great decision, obviously, to be like this guy is so you know tough and resilient that it's just that it was actually his own body that you know eventually
yeah. Give up.
you know gave up because of that blow that they landed on him with a kick to break his rib. So it was pretty cool seeing that. The next thing though, I didn't find very cool because um, obviously you know we were talking about Midoriya's quirk and that he's you know trying to deal with the whole like you know one for all users and all that kind of stuff, and then it starts talking about all for one, and I
Mm.
have never been more confused to see one for all for one, because I'm like what are they what are they talking about, you know, and you do eventually you get it, but it's like all right, okay, so the whole idea is that you know one for all is this you know League of Villains originalist, and he was given all these different people his quirks, and that's how like different ones evolved and became all for one, and or one for all, whatever. Exactly. See that? Like I'm like, what? They couldn't have thought to call it
A
something
different
else,
name.
anything
I
else,
know.
like
I know.
whatsoever. But
Yeah,
you know, they go into that in terms of you know this is how it was created, and it's
yeah,
funny like to see um like all of that kind of stuff kind of happen and play out because you do like to see a wee bit of backstory and you know one for all gave you know the younger quirkless brother
yep,
you know ability to kind of as well, so it's just it's funny to see how that kind of thing plays out, you know, so that we
yeah,
can see like how all these different things are evolving, and then you know they don't spend too much time on it, which I thought was pretty good. You know, eventually, obviously, we know All Might wins
yeah,
at the end of the day because All Might's still around.
yeah.
I thought the way that they've been portraying All Might, just while we're on the subject, this season's been pretty good because a lot of it has been these um,
No,
no
mate.
Might, as I was calling him in season one, but it's no like he's like oversized shirt drooling out his face. Like,
Mhm.
it's like that a lot more better presented because of the role that he's on, and how much he's trying to kind of, he's limited. He's tells you that. I think at the start of the season it's like 50. I can only really be in this power, this way for like 50 minutes kind of thing. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
seeing him in different situations and seeing him, in the boardroom with other teachers and stuff, which is coming up shortly, but um, seeing him in there in his kind of lesser state, if you like, but still in a well presented kind of way. Like, it was
yeah,
almost kind of cementing like what his future is going to be, because he's literally handing the torch to Midoriya, obviously, to because we know secretly, obviously, we know that All Might is, he's dying.
mm,
He's slowly, on the road out, almost the way that he's heading. So it's good to see though, that kind of thing playing out, because you, you like to see a wee bit of variety in these shows, and the fact that they kind of take a wee minute, in between the 1v1s to break down a wee bit of battle story, to backstory, sorry, and then they jump into this big fight, and we get a lot of that, and then we change the pace again, and it's like, oh, by the way, this is where you've came for. They
yeah,
could have easily done that before they faced off against Stain, to kind of be like, oh, this is where you came for, by the way, and this is how you got to where you are now. Um, I also thought it was a really good touch, actually, just before we go into the last act with the final exams. But I thought it was really, really cool, that it was like, right, what you've done is a really cool thing. These three students have took on the hero killer, but the fact that they're able to be like, oh, you took on the hero killer, but the world can't know
yeah,
unless
yeah,
you you relinquish, or you leave. I think it's they have to leave the school or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
So I thought that was pretty cool that they done that, and it's like, oh, Endeavour will take the praise as the person that's done that. Like, and, we appreciate what you've done, but nobody can ever know.
yeah,
I thought, do you know
yeah.
what? That's really, really good.
Aye, it's the kind of, you don't want them to be like, as watching as a viewer, you don't want them to be like pure superheroes straight away. It's
Yep.
keeping that kind of. I always describe this as like Harry Potter. Like, this is like Harry Potter for like superheroes. The way I view it, it's like Harry Potter does all this amazing stuff for Hogwarts, but like nobody ever knows. Like, it's always a
Yes.
secret, and I think that's exactly what this is like. It's that, oh, you did probably one of the best things that anybody's did in a while, but you're only getting any credit whatsoever, and you can't tell anybody basically.
Aye.
Which is good. Can I just go back on talking about All for One and stuff like that?
Sure.
Just I think it's really good when he's talking about it, and he's talking about like all for one. Well, he's talking about One for All, and you actually like see him like how scared he is talking about that
Yeah.
character, and he's like this is the guy who gave me this big scar. He also killed um, my prodigy, or what do you, no prodigy, my teacher. It was
Yep.
he's like, then they killed him as well, and you really, it's that kind of same thing with like when he was talking about Gran Torino. It's almost like you hear the terror in his voice, and you're thinking to yourself like, this guy is scared of somebody. Like,
Hmm.
how is he scared of somebody? And also, you'll talk about the passing the torch and his time's running out. That, I think, for me watching it, it's kind of like, oh, like, it kind of feels like we need to do something about this, because our number one hero and nobody knows is about
Aye.
to get extinguished here.
Aye.
Like, and he's not going to be the number one hero anymore. And what's the world going to do after that?
Aye.
And I think that's the kind of pressure that's put on obviously Deku, but he's also so far away from ever being in that level that it's kind of like, oh god, the world's going to need to go without an All Might for a wee
Yep.
while here, and
Yep.
we need to try and train everybody up to be as good as possible, because we're in for a fight.
Aye. Aye, for sure. That's exactly it. It's fun to see. just how kind of scared that he is, and how underprepared Deco is at the minute, because he's still breaking limbs and hurting
Yeah,
his cell and whatever
yeah.
else, and he's
I
just not
think
quite.
he only can use 5% or something like that. I
Aye,
think that's what he says. Full
yep,
full cowling, but it's sort of like 5%.
aye. Which still, still a mighty hit on his best
Mm,
day, but in the end, he can only really do so much damage. So it's fun to see him progressing as well, and
mm,
obviously it's good to learn a wee bit of backstory without having to get too into it, rather than spending episodes and episodes
yeah.
looking and watching these different flashbacks and stuff like that. It's good that they managed to condense it in that break, just between the acts almost.
Yep.
So we'll move on then if to Act 4, which is obviously the exam. So I'm thinking that we're on the road down. I'm thinking, right, that's us, cooling down. We've had the sports competition, we've had the 1v1s, we've had the internships and seen them all go out and survive, almost solo, and different varieties of that. And then it's like, all right, okay, we've got final exams, and it's they do like a kind of written exam, which is quite funny. It's to see, because it's literally like I drove it this like 2 minutes or something like that. They show them like preparing for it. It's like, hey, we've done it. And it's like, all right, okay, fair enough. And then they move on to the practical side, and obviously cuts to and the boardroom, they're kind of talking about it, whatever, given like what's happened with 1A, and what's happened with hero kill and stuff. It's like, I think we should pair them up and verse them, take go one on 1v2 kind of thing on them. And I thought that was quite a good twist, because we don't get to see a lot of the teachers' quirks. Obviously, we get to see Eraserhead's one
Mhm,
quite predominantly in season one,
mhm.
but for the rest of them, we typically don't really get to see a lot of the fights. So I thought
See,
it was
before
quite
we move
good.
on, what did you think Razorhead coming back so quickly for season 2?
I
Did
don't
it
know. I
shock
thought
you?
they made no, like I thought they obviously made like a kind of comical bit about it, in that show, and it's anime, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like the way they done it, the way they introduced it, the way they kind of brought him in, and he's still in his wee sleeping bag. I just think that's still one of the best gags for that teacher as well, because of how they play him,
Mhm.
and how he kind of comes across like he's just one of the kind of deadpan, like he's the complete opposite for how All Might
Yeah.
presents himself, where he's more you know trying, puffing the
Charismatic and
eyes, puffing the chest out, and all that kind of stuff. So I would say that he was. I don't know. I would have really have liked to see him out for like a lot of this season. Like
Mhm.
I'm glad. Like obviously, I mean, it wasn't really involved too heavily in terms of like doing anything like doing anything heavy in the season to
Yeah.
start with, until he was fighting against the teachers. So it didn't really bother me too much that there was whatever was going on, because I don't know how much
Yeah.
time had passed between
Yeah.
them either. Obviously, they were showing them in the classes and stuff, which we never went over at the very very start of the season. But it shows you him obviously kind of recovering and he's wee sleeping
Yeah.
bag, which
I
still
think
really funny to me.
it's quite funny. He just comes back and he's just literally like covered in bandages. Like you can't see his eyes or nothing. Like he's just
Yeah,
literally like a mummy, like
yeah,
absolutely covered in bandages. And then like later on, it's a few episodes in. It's after the academy. He actually takes it off and he's only got like a wee scar in his eye, like
aye,
across his eye, and it's like you near enough had his face like completely crushed.
aye.
He's only got this wee tiny wee scar just across his eye. But no, I'm glad. I'm glad they brought him back as well. Do you know what? I kind of thought. I keep bringing up Harry Potter, but I kind of thought, oh, is this going to be like Harry Potter when it's always like we're going to get a new teacher every year? to teach a
Aye,
class, and I thought it was going
yeah,
to do that when I first watched it, and then I was like, oh, Hazel's head's back already. I was like, thank
aye.
God.
I'm happy enough with that. I like his quirk. We'll get into that shortly, but I like
Yeah.
his quirk, and I think it was a good choice to keep him there because he does play off All Might really well. So
Mm.
happy to have him. Happy to have him back. Regardless, I wouldn't even have minded if it was just right. Oh, that's him back. Like
Mm.
even with that gag of the bandages and stuff, I'm happy enough. It was his idea. He leads a charge, obviously, in terms of saying to them, right, we'll pair up, different people, and they have different reasons. The reason, why that they want to like pair up certain people. That's how they kind of decide to choose the partnerships and who they're going to go up against. And we see the first matchup, which I'll butcher all the names, but Kirishima and Sato versus Aishama, I think is roughly how it is. But anyway, it's the kind of hardening and Sugar Rush quirks
Mm. Mm.
versus Cementos, like the cement
Yep.
kind of quirk, which it's quite good to see, like because you don't see that teacher at all, and it's just funny to see like the variety, the fact that it's so some of them are so vague, and then some of them are so specific, and like what
Yeah.
their quirks
Yeah.
are, like it's in terms of like variety in that, and then obviously that's where they start getting into the whole idea of like right, you guys actually have a limit as to how much you can use your quirks.
Mm.
Whether it's this the teacher, whether it be because he's a professional and he's more honed, or if it's just because of the way his quirk works. But he doesn't have a limit, and he can just keep going and going and going and going, and use are absolutely
Yep.
fucked, and then he's just buried you. And
Yep.
I thought that was quite good. The fact that the first fight was like they didn't win, because you
Yep.
think, how is this going to play out?
Yeah, it's one of the moments where it's like they kind of thought it was all about trying to use your quirk, and it's like
Yeah,
actually it's kind of like it's either fight or flight. Like
yep,
this scenario that you're in, it's like you can either go tactics or like they both of them just decided they're just going to go and try and punch their way out of the situation.
yep,
And I quite like the Sugar Rush guy. He's quite funny.
yeah.
He's sat eating all the sweeties and all that, and he's like, "Argh!" Pure raging. Um, they just keep trying to punch their way out of this cement, and then it's just like they just tire themselves out.
Aye.
And that before they know it, the teachers won now.
Aye, exactly. So you always kind of think, obviously, you see them, they're like, by the way, the teachers are going to be trying their best, and that's the exact, like, what you want. You want the
Mm.
first fight is the teachers just being like, I am not holding back. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not letting you win. Like, there will be a way to win, but I'm not going to just let you win. And we're going to try our best to test you, because out there in the real world, like, nobody's going to like hold back on you just because you're a student. So you might as well get used to it. So it's good as well that they start off with like not second tier, but they keep the best to last, which we'll obviously get to the last fight with Deku and that. But they introduced like a lot of B characters to start with in this, so that we get a taste of some of them, and obviously we get to see them both winning and or failing and winning, I should say. Obviously, with the second pair that come up against the teacher and Tokiyami and Sue versus Ectoplasm, and that I
mm.
love that Tokiyami. I love the Dark Shadow
Mm.
um, quirk. I think the fact that it's its own character is really fun as well.
Yeah, yeah,
The fact that it's not just like, oh, I'm going to like use this Dark Shadow thing, and it's like an extension of me, or it's something else. Like, it's literally just like it's its own thing. It's
mm.
as if it has its own kind of mind or whatever. Um, and I thought that fight was really cool, purely just because I like the character, and I do like I like the awkwardness
Mm.
of them as well. I just think it's quite a kind of funny thing, And at one point, I was thinking, right, how are these, like, how is any of them going to win? Because it was obviously the whole quirk is he's got these different, he creates clones of himself,
Yeah.
and you're like, I just don't see like how he's going to, they manage to they lock the two of them in, and you're like, how is he actually, how any of these, how are they going to win, like, whatsoever. And then obviously the idea is that, just what you said a minute ago, it's not about your quirk, it's not about what you can do, it's about like coming together as a team and understanding like what the strategy is, communication, all that kind of stuff to try and make sure that you end up getting the victory. So one of the winning conditions, I should say, they either have to escape the zone that they're in, or which is like a very clear marked gate that they need to pass through, or they need to attach these cuffs. So when we are heading through this zone and you see that ectoplasm is literally like camped out at the gate, or at the fence, I should say, you're kind of thinking, right, okay, well, the only answer for them is either to beat this guy, or like for him to distract him. I think that's what they started it off to begin with, is like, I'm going to try and distract him so that we can get the escape. But he sets up camp so close to the gate that it is difficult for them to do. So managing to trick him was obviously quite cool in itself as well. Managing to use her tongue, Sue's tongue, with it with being the kind of frog side of things, manages to kind of sneakily stealth the cuff zone, which I thought that was quite an interesting one.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
I like that. I really like that teacher. He's really cool. He's dead like dark, and like he's just got such a cool quirk as well. That kind of, I'll just keep cloning myself, or can make myself big and whatever else. But the one thing that puts me off is moving legs.
Aye. I I don't really get. I don't. I think they did a good job of like balancing some of these teachers and quirks and stuff like that. But I don't really know how they managed to decide like what some of their weaknesses would be. I don't really get it, but I we'll kind of keep running through some of these. Some of them will probably spend like more time than others. The next fight was again just you kind of expected it with Ida and Ojiro, I think it is, the guy with the kind of kangaroo tail, who's
Yep.
fighting Maijama, I think is the name, which is the power loader, that kind of Iron Jaws effect. I think for that one, you're looking at it and it's kind of like, right, that they are going to combine, to be a team, because that's just how Ida works. It's
Yep.
always been that kind of way, and that's kind of how you know that that's the way that they're going to end up going. So it's kind of seeing the two of them obviously right away. He's like, right, up in the back, and they're figuring their way out to how they're going to manage to get through it. I think in the end up, it's like the ground ends up collapsing, and he ends up like hanging onto his leg, and they manage to like spin in some way, manage to get them out of the gate or whatever. Is how they end up kind of doing it. So they kind of combine kind of both of their kind of quirks together. Just what you were saying, it's a combination of like understanding the limits of your own quirk, but also kind of working as a team.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so, so obviously that was the kind of fight. That, again, another victory. But up steps, probably one of my favourite ones. Obviously, again, biased because of it being Todoroki.
And the
On the
Razorhead.
And it is ahead, exactly. Aye. So Todoroki and Yayo Yozuru is the kind of one which I thought it's weird. It's that anime thing again, where it's like, why do they need to be dressed like that? Like, it's quite a
I
violent
know.
character. You kind of I don't know. It's maybe just the way it is over there. I don't know.
It's supposed to be like 14, 15. She's like
Exactly.
always
Aye.
got, she's always got a boobs out and all that. But do
Aye.
you know what the thing is? Although it's got big, massive anime boobs, is it actually makes sense why our things so revealing. Like our costume's so revealing
Aye. It's
because
a
it's supposed to
creating thing,
be
innit?
that she creates stuff out of skin. So
Aye.
it makes sense why she's showing so much skin, but it's like, does she really need the big, massive, like ginormous anime boobies? I don't know.
Aye. I mean, you can justify it in any way that you want to, but the fact that our skin's showing shouldn't matter, like when our arms are out. But anyway, regardless, it's it's good
She's one of
to
my favourite characters. She's one of my favourites.
100%. I really enjoyed the pair up. I enjoyed how it played out because how Todoroki's character has evolved through that, where he's like, he's ran into them, he's protected because he did kind of save the day a wee bit. Obviously in terms of intervening, not so much save the day because they needed the three of them to take down the hero killer, but he is in that protective mode. So he's like, right, keep creating because then we know that you can't see us because, Eraser said quirk is when he sees you, you'll lose your quirk. So, he's like, right, keep creating just really small stuff so that we know, when he's close by. And then obviously, she's so in her head in terms of confidence that she, ends up getting distracted, or the two of them end up kind of getting distracted and things. And that's what ends up, causing the initial, excuse me, sorry, it causes that initial, when he captures, Eraserhead manages to capture Todoroki and hang him, suspend him for the lamppost. And you end up, she runs away and tries to get away to the end, but then changes her mind and comes back. And I thought that was quite kind of fun to see as well because it kind of shows that kind of changing character for her as well, to have the confidence to be like, no, I need to come back and help my teammate, and we need to have a better shot at getting through here rather than just trying to rely on his quirk. Obviously they both of them are restricted in what they can actually do because of the way Eraserheads work. So
I
how
love when he uses his, and
aye
it's just his hair just goes all up and
yep
spiky. I
yep
love that. I love that.
aye, I quite like that as well. And obviously the whole idea of the blinking was
Big red eyes.
pretty cool. Aye, that was pretty cool as well. So how they managed to beat him was quite interesting. Obviously, with she's creating that kind of same material, if you like, is his stuff, and that's how they end up kind of distracting him almost to end up kind of winning, which is quite good because it just shows a wee bit of kind of creativity in the storylines.
Aye,
Rather
definitely,
than
definitely.
what it is. So
Again, just through this full season 2, it's just this putting different people with different quirks together, and even though they're in the same class, there's kind of a mix up of people you don't see together, and it's just I'll just keep saying it. This is just what this show is amazing for, this kind of stuff.
yeah, I absolutely. It's you don't really expect to see those two in a pairing, and I quite like that they've done it in pairs, just so that you do get that match of stuff, just to kind of keep things fresh. If I'm honest, the next fight I'm not fully sure. I might have had a My Hero Academia falling asleep moment, but Uraraka and Ayama obviously plays versus again 13, which is the kind of black hole quirk,
Yep,
and
to
I'm
be
not
astronaut.
exactly, and I'm not 100% sure on how. I know that they end up winning, but I'm just not 100% sure. I know they get the handcuffs on them, but I don't really know how the two of them go. Have you
No,
watched that one at all? No.
no,
So
I can't really remember.
it's the way that I'd kind of read up on it before it, and the two of them, they kind of like make their way to to try and escape or whatever, and then they obviously start kind of getting pulled in with that
Yeah,
black hole
I remember that. Yeah,
quirk, and then you manage to kind of, I think he manages to kind of distract 13. And then it's one of the kind of things I think that are maybe a wee bit kind of lucky, but what ends up happening in the end is because obviously just what you were saying, that I have a struggle like saying her name for some reason. It's the way that it's
Uraraki.
written, and it's just when you're looking at it, you're like,
Yeah,
what is that?
racket.
Exactly, it's that bit. It's that really tongue twist name. So anyway, sorry. So she gets quite close to them and ends up using the kind of martial arts side of it, which is obviously like a different side of her training that she's
Aye,
managed to.
she's been developing this season.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Do you know that wee naval guy? I love him. Like I just love when he's always on. He's just always that pure
I'm
comic
just
relief. That wee Ayayama. Like it just is like it pretends to be French and all that. It's funny because one of them actually says, they go, "Are you French?" And like he just like we like, and but he's just like, you're just full of shit. I just love when
aye,
he just puts his wee horns behind his seat and then he just shoots his wee naval laser and then he gets a sore stomach.
aye,
His wee face
aye.
goes all. Oh.
That is, it's just weird though. I don't know. I know what you're saying, but I'm just it is pure anime. Is the
That
best
is.
kind of thing to try and like describe him. Because that's just the way that he is. But it's funny. But I think you do get that kind of side of things. I mean, especially like the only, I don't really watch a lot of anime, but it reminds me of you know, see the likes of like Dynasty Warriors, where
Yeah,
you just have that kind of character
yeah,
that's kind of like that has that kind of shine element to them, that
yeah,
flashiness.
yeah. The
Um,
flamboyantness.
yep, exactly. So I quite I quite liked that they had somebody like that in it, because it's just a wee bit of something different rather than somebody that's just full of confidence, and
Yeah,
it's not really got something that it's just like, I've never seen you do that much. Well, like you seem to just be able to shoot in a straight line. Like, it's quite hard to see how you would do much. But anyway, the next fight was actually one of my favourite ones, purely because I, I quite like seeing the head teacher Nizu fight, because I think he's funny, the whole cover tea thing, like where he just goes bonkers. It reminds me of some of the JRPG games, the ones with the bet with that bear in it. I can't remember what they're called now. Where it's just that kind of cute but deadly type kind of phase.
yeah,
Um, so he's obviously up against Kaminara and Ashido, and I think when you look at like the setup of like how that like area was, you obviously see the whole, like, I mean, one of them's good combinations, right, of their quirks, like the whole acidity and electrification kind of thing. I like, by the way, I like, because I know we spoke about it in season one, but I like how zonked he gets when he uses like too
it's
much
so funny.
electricity. Like, it's
So
brilliant,
funny. He just
absolutely
does
brilliant.
the wee thumbs up, but
Aye.
Brilliant.
Really, really good to see that. But Nezu obviously being I think it's his quirk's just like called high spec or something like that. That's what I was talking about in terms of vagueness.
Mhm.
It's just a lot, different compared to some of the other ones that are quite specific. Like the cement one, like, is a lot more
Yeah,
specific. Electrification, as just acid, that's a lot more specific than just like high spec. But that's what they refer to. Maybe it's slightly different, or it's to do with the translation that makes it know so much.
Mhm.
Something that we doesn't really translate well. Possibly, I don't fully know. But anyway, the fact that he's just like kicking about with this wrecking ball or whatever it is, and he's just preventing them from making escape. I think that was really good, a really good good twist. I just like seeing the teacher, because he's so mild mannered,
Yeah.
and like how he operates, and then it just cuts to, and he's just like shaking with his wee cup of tea, like and he's getting all like really excited and all that. So I quite like him. He's quite funny.
Yes, he's one of the characters. Like as you said, like they say that he's got this like, high spec, and it's like, what does that mean? And you don't really see it. Like you still don't. I still don't really know what his quirk actually is.
Yeah,
Like even
yeah,
watching it, like I've watched further, and I'm still like I don't really know what his quirk is. But he's
aye.
one of the characters that you just think like, see when something's going to happen, you're just going to like come out of nowhere and be like fucking a Superman. Like you're just going to, he's just got that feeling about him. Like as you
Aye.
said, it's that cute but deadly vibe about him. You just know that he's just going to fuck some shit up soon. You know.
For sure. So I quite enjoyed that one. Just purely because I quite like the character, more than anything else. So I were going to go into one of your favourite people and the teacher, which is quite weird. I didn't actually realise like he was a teacher. I thought he was just like this announcer guy that he, do you know what I mean? That he just did. I know that obviously he's commenting on the students and stuff, but he
Yeah.
just, that's the only place that you see him. Which is, I think he's, is it, I don't know what his name is. Is it Yamada? Which is, for
Like
like voice.
Mike Head or
Aye,
something like that. Something
aye, it's
like
like
that.
President Mike, I think is the
Mm-hmm.
name. But anyway, so you've got Jiro and Koda, which their quirks are quite interesting. I quite like Jiro's one where it's the headphones and stuff like
Tracks.
that. I think
Yeah.
it's really really cool. Like all the different things. Like obviously you see that bit that we've not seen because we skipped by earlier. But I can't remember what that creepy guy's name is with the sticky balls.
Oh yeah.
Where he's like trying to like look into the girls' changing rooms, and all you can see is the earphone jack, and it comes right through the wall into
Bye.
his eye. So I thought it was quite a kind of funny moment with him as well. But I quite like the earphone jack thing, and all the different kind of possibilities that you can see with that. Obviously, it's the kind of counterbalance side of things as well. But I thought this was going to be another L for them because of the sound. It wasn't exactly the best watch when you just hear this fucking sound over and over again. But
Yeah.
the fact I quite liked how they managed to win in terms of him using his quirk for the bugs.
Yeah.
And sending the bugs all the way up the field to him. I thought that was quite interesting. Again, just as you said, just to see a wee bit of variety and how
Yeah.
we're going to see them develop on the future
It's
seasons.
funny. It's funny with Coda. Like you don't see him. You see him, but you don't really know what he really does. Like you
Yeah,
just kind of see him now and again, like pop up. He's in the class, whatever he's in, but you never actually see what he does. And then you actually see him like get let loose here, and you're like, oh, that's actually a really cool quirk. Like
yeah,
being able to talk to like any animal and get them to assist you. Like it's
aye,
such an actual helpful thing. And he's such a little weird looking character. So he looks like a big rock. He looks like a big rock guy. But
aye.
then he's like he doesn't speak.
No,
He just whispers everything, and he's just this dead soft spoken. Well, we don't even really hear him speak. But and it's quite good and as you said, it's the getting to know somebody else in the pack kind of thing.
aye. It's that side of things where it's the he's probably a wee bit. What I was thinking is like the Groot, but a rock.
Hmm.
It's just
Hmm.
that doesn't really need much in terms of the character development in it and like that.
Yeah.
But aye, that's pretty cool. I did enjoy that. Again, I had another kind of sleeping moment. I'm afraid. I think when the next fight it was Shoji and Hagaku versus Snipe, with the teacher with the kind
Oh
of
yeah.
sniping kind of thing. So obviously you've got I still find Shoji's one with its the eyes, and that's still the creepiest thing I've ever seen. If I'm honest with you, and then obviously you've got Hayakuri with the invisibility quirk, which you're thinking to yourself, well, with that it should be a plain sailing with the invisibility thing. I was looking, for how it was going to win, but I think you could see that it's probably going to be, it's going to be the invisibility that probably wins the day almost, and how the two of them end up. And that's how they end up winning. As I've kind of written it down there, but the two of them, they kind of rush him almost, just to kind of use their kind of quirk and mixed with invisibility. They end up capturing him, which is pretty cool. But again, it's hard to get excited on the invisibility one because it feels almost like a cheat code in some sense, in some situations. But another ones that you can kind of think, well, how are they going to, it's just what you said, exploring different ones, different mixes, in terms of how things are going to match up.
Yeah, that teacher looks awesome. That marksman guy, like,
looks straight out of like Fortnite and stuff. No, not straight out of Fortnite. You can imagine it being something.
It's got like a gas mask with like a full cape, but they use these like revolvers and stuff like that. And it's like, he's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
I quite like that as well. So we'll kind of move on to the next fight before we touch on the latest and greatest. We've been gone for a fair bit anyways. I'll not spend too much time on this next one. So you've got it's funny, like it describes. I had obviously taken some notes, and it describes the next one, which is obviously Mineta and Zero versus Kayama. But when they talk about Zero, they write tape, but when they talk about Mineta, they've wrote like pop off, which is like those wee balls that they fall off. Like, so it's quite funny that's like what they call. But anyway, sorry. So you see the difference. I think Zero ends up kind of falling victim to that kind of smoke that they end up that the teacher emits to make them kind of fall asleep, and Benita tapes like something over their face so that they can run through the smoke and escape, which is how they end up winning. Which it's pretty cool, like how they come up with like different things, because I think he ends up kind of throwing as much of the balls to kind of stop them in their place, before he then kind of makes a run for it. So I think you see in like all these different situations that it is funny, but ultimately, like, the wee boys definitely get him out of trouble.
Definitely. The boys usually get you in trouble, so
that's true. Especially with them sticky. So it's quite good to see a wee bit of variety in there. But I quite enjoyed that. Especially because it's just so weird. Like it's just a strange wee character. So you see him like going up against, like, he's got quite a bit of crush on the teacher, I think, as well. I think he crushes on everybody, to be fair. But
he does.
it's one of these
things.
What
was the teacher? Was that at midnight? But is that what?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of, it's a weird kind of name, a weird quirk name that they've gave it, like Somnum Bullist or whatever, and it's just basically like the ability to emit that kind of smoke that kind of puts people to sleep. So again, a good quirk in its own right, but it's just everybody's got one eye on the end fight at this point, which is obviously Deku Midoriya and Bakugo, versus All Might, which I didn't know how it was going to play out. I think All Might is like, right, you think you can come for me? Like, I'm going to teach you a lesson. Like, when in terms of like Bakugo, because Bakugo's like, I'm going to go 1v1 on him, and you can do what you want. Which seems to be like, obviously the idea is like to try and it's trying to get them to have like a bit of cohesion between the two of them. But like, even in the situation like this, like, Bakugo's just never going to have it.
Yeah,
like, he's just not going to have that in him. and the idea that you've got Midoriya almost like he's at the finish line, whatever, and he comes back, and I really love that point where he just gets that clean hit on All Might, and then grabs him and makes his way to the finish line. It's almost like he's not hit him with all his power, and he's not as if he's like, oh, I'm better than him now. It's just he's just come back to get his friend again, just like what we've seen him do in the last season.
Yeah.
So
He's
that was pretty
very,
cool.
very selfless.
Aye.
Midoriya, even if he tries to be selfish, like as you said, he was running for the finish line at first, and he's just like, I just can't do this. Like
Aye.
everything in him just tells him he needs to be a team player and think of other people.
Aye.
Which is
Exactly.
very admirable for
Aye.
a protagonist.
Aye. No, absolutely. I thought it was quite interesting, obviously, that again, it was one of the fights that I thought was good. They were going to drag it on, but they didn't really spend as much time as I thought they were going to on it. They pin, he pins Midoriya down and starts kind of going blow for blow with Bakugo, but he just starts battering Bakugo a bit, and that's obviously when his cuffs break and he's starts to kind of try and let a wee bit of power go. Bakugo's all about the explosion and trying to take. He just wants to prove that he can take down All Might, and I wasn't sure how they were going to go with this one. Just where All Might kind of only been able to use his power for so long. I thought, is this obviously you know Millenadi, and we don't want to get into spoilers, but do you think to yourself, is this when people are going to? I was thinking anyway, is this when people are going to find out, like, is he going to be fun out here because they're maybe going to challenge him a wee bit, but they definitely, he was just always in control in that fight for the most part, and then obviously Midoriya just coming back and demonstrating that as much as Bakugo is going to fight against him, he is going to always choose to be more team orientated.
Yeah, definitely.
So I quite enjoyed that fight. I quite enjoyed that whole act, to be honest with you, just having the teachers, I was going to say like displayed, but that probably is the best kind of thing I can think of. But just having them, being able to kind of run through their stuff, because it is all about the students at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's nice to, as you said at the start, it's nice to actually see the teachers. Because a lot of them you just see, but you don't know what they actually do. So it's nice to actually get a wee bit of like, oh right, this is what their court does as well.
Aye, that's exactly it. So again, you think, right, well, that's great. He's passed his exams, and that's the end of the show. But then you get another act, and it's another bit, just to finish off the end of the episode. I mean, honestly, I put that last episode in, and I know I was falling asleep. I went back and I read about it, but I definitely was like, having a few Z's between bits on that episode, and I'm like, I'm looking and I'm like, is that the main guy? Like, Shigaraki? I'm like, is that him? Because I would say I'd never seen him with the hand, on his face. I'm like, it must be him. And obviously he's talking to him, and they're kind of getting back and forward on what they because obviously, I mean, he knows there's something not quite right about him, because or he suspects that there's something tying him, probably suspects something tying him to kind of All Might or whatever, but he knows there's something different about Izuku, and when you're looking at it, it's just like, really, like, I don't know, I felt like it wasn't really like a cliffhanger, like having him, like confronting him like that, but it was, I don't know, it just feels like another thing. Like, I don't know why they had so much in this season. Maybe it's just that was just everything that was on the idea board, and they thought, oh, let's just end it with like a visit, just to kind of summarize like what he's thinking. Because obviously he doesn't like staying. He doesn't like people that are like out for like their own thing, and Midoriya's like, no, I actually admire staying. He had as much as like I don't align with him, or I don't believe that what he was doing was all right, but he's at least got beliefs, and he's strong-willed, and he was sticking to them rather than just wishing you know destruction on everybody.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's
so
an
that was quite
episode that
interesting.
I thought was really creepy actually, because it's really
Yes.
creepy the way he does it. And when you think of it, like kind of no in hindsight, but we kind of think looking back at it, like he literally found him, like when he was out shopping, and he could have a date to him, he could have killed him straight there and then. He
Yep.
literally says to him like, "Don't struggle, or else I'll start killing people in this supermarket."
Aye.
Like that's a deep thing as well, man. It's like, wow, that's dark.
Aye.
And I think it also it's the same thing with like the like All Might telling him kind of like I've only got a certain amount of time before this goes kind of thing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's the same with him. It's kind of like, here, I'm coming for you,
Aye.
so you better get ready for me when I'm coming for you, kind of thing. Because look how easy it is, I can get to you already.
So obviously, we see him doing that, and he's literally he's like figure on his throat type thing, and he's just literally like Midoriya's just kind of talking to him, listening to him, and just obviously he knows who he is. He remembers him for the season one and that kind of fight, whatever, and he's
Oh, you're the guy for season one, aren't you?
aye, aye. You're the one. You're the one before we stopped for about a year. So the two of them obviously going back and forward, and then that's when you see I can't remember how they work it, but obviously Uraraki is
Yeah.
Uraraka's obviously get a. It seems like anyway she's got gets all kind of flustered with Midoriya. Obviously she's got a wee bit of a crush, it seems, on him, and so she does the boost and then comes back, and that's obviously when it's that kind of exchange, like when they're kind of looking, and he's like run, like don't stay here kind of thing, and I thought that was all going to kind of kick off, but it's quite interesting how they then just decided to like almost like put him back into the shadows,
Yeah.
because it's like I could have done something here, but this is just a warning kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. It's a cool ending, right enough, but it was just a lot to kind of take in at the time. Probably just because I was trying to finish it at the time. Obviously, we're trying to record. We were actually going to record last week at the time of recording, and we ended up putting it off by a week. So I was rushing to try and kind of finish that last
Yeah.
episode.
It's a
And
beefy season. It's definitely is
aye,
a very beefy season.
aye, it's a lot of different things. So aye, that was season two. I mean, I don't know if there's anything that we missed.
I think the only other question I'd
Revisit.
like to ask you is
Sure.
how are you still liking your journey through anime on your second season of anime?
I'm enjoying it, but I think it's slow. I would probably like that if this was. I don't really know if I want to do a review of every season of this, because I want to just keep going,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if I could write notes like watching it and then try and revisit it like many moons down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want to like I kind of use anime because of the way it is short.
Yeah.
When you kind of cut down, like I usually skip to after the I skip the whole entrance, or sorry, the entrance music, but the kind of starting up kind of theme song thing or whatever. And sometimes if the at the front of the episode is just purely a recap and it doesn't get it
Yeah.
new, then I'll typically skip that because I'm kind of binge watching. But it's good for like say my lunch break for work, like if I'm just kind of sitting at my desk and I just have it on my phone and I've just put a quick episode on, or if I'm doing the dishes, put something on. But I'm
Yeah.
really interested in trying different things, but at the same, so that's what I want to do, is to try different stuff. And I have a list of stuff that a kind of good friend Reese had advised me on, which was quite varied. But I want to finish this because I am enjoying it, and I've seen a lot of people talking online about how the most recent seasons are actually looking pretty good as well. So I think I'd like to just kind of keep going with them, and then maybe somewhere down the line I can even come back, just like you're doing, come back and rewatch the seasons, or even do like a recap thing
Yeah.
to do it. But so as far as like animes going, like I've got the Funimation subscription, whatever, and I'm just interested to try out some different stuff. There's loads of different things there, so I'll definitely check them out because there is a lot of variety in it.
Yeah, there totally is, and there's something for like, like I always kind of try to play a game, and then like for example, I was playing Ghost of Tsushima, so I was like, I was watching I was like, I need an anime that's kind of like samurais or swords,
Yep.
just to kind of coincide with that, and I ended up watching Demon Slayer, and
Nice.
because I was watching Demon Slayer and playing Ghost of Tsushima, I was just in that
Mhm.
full like samurai sword world, and I think that's a good thing with anime, that it is so varied, and it's not even just all action. There's some anime I watched that's just like a comedy thing,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
just like literally a comedy. So it's definitely a varied world for what people think anime is.
Aye.
I'm still trying to get my wife to watch Attack on Titans with me, because I'm like, honestly, Attack on Titans is just, although it's as anime, but I was like, it's like the Game of Thrones anime. Like it's just like that. It's no maybe it's like 18 plus kind of thing, but it's like a totally different like horror. It's just something different. But she just can't get by like the cartoon aesthetic, which is
I
fair
get that.
enough.
I
She's fair
get that.
enough.
I think it's not for everybody, and
No.
I don't know how long I'll stick it out because there is a lot to watch and a lot of day and play and whatever else. A lot of times are kind of limited and stuff like that, but I am enjoying My Hero Academia, and I do want to just keep watching. The fact that there is other seasons there for me to watch, then I probably
Yeah.
would want to get kind of stuck into it and be able to kind of message back and forward with you on different
Yeah.
bits and pieces that
Yeah.
I'm watching. So
I'm going to continue. I obviously just started it again there, like a couple of weeks ago. So I did first and second season, and I'm just going to continue as well. I'm just going to keep going,
yeah,
as well, because there's that new season I've not seen. I think it's season 5 or 6. I can't remember. It's
aye,
5 or 6. I can't remember what's the newest one, but I've not seen that either. So I'm really looking forward to that, because it definitely it ends in a way. For what I've seen, it ends in a way you're like, ooh, it's just about to
aye,
start.
aye.
4 seasons in, you're like, oh, here we go. Like
Here
it's,
we go.
uh,
I think there's a lot to there's a lot of different animes and stuff like that as well that we could be checking out the first season of, and then like a kind of episode on them and that as well,
yeah,
as opposed to continually tapping the My Hero Academia tree, and we can come back to this in the future. We are only 17 episodes into the podcast as well, so
mm,
if you've got any anime, if you've made it this far, I should say, because we're nearly at 3 hours long. But if you've made it this far and you have any kind of anime suggestions, drop them in the comments, and we can check them out or add them to the list, and hopefully it's something down the line we can maybe visit and do a kind of one-off for particular seasons or whatever. It'd be quite good
mm,
to check something out that both of us haven't watched before, and just go into that kind of first season and see what we think. As opposed to something that you've seen more of. I can
mhm.
it must be quite different for you, obviously, knowing like how things go for another,
Yeah,
at least another two
yeah.
seasons.
I
And
think
not having to talk about this one.
the good thing is about watching My Hero Academia, I'm taking different stuff away from it now.
Mm.
Where like future knowledge, which is quite good. I don't think everything you can do that way. I'm not sure. But watching this the second time, it's been absolutely no bother, like
Yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah. Aye, cool. Well, that has been our episode on My Hero Academia Season 2. Really enjoyed it, quite enjoyed the podcast. It's been good to be back as well. If you have made it this far, again, I do appreciate the views and the likes and anything else. Just appreciate the support in general, and hopefully we can keep up a wee bit of a consistent podcast. Obviously, we missed a few weeks there just with different things and different commitments. So we'll hopefully line up a few episodes, in the weeks to come to try and make up for that. We've always said that it would be minimum once a month for the podcast. We do live kind of busy lives, but we'd like to get back into that 2 a month sweep as we get closer to that episode 20. Which is fast coming, almost at the year mark for us here as well at the Vault Dwellers. So, speaking of the Vault Dwellers, we also have a wee merch store as well. So if you head over to Twitter, the links are in the description below. If you head over to Twitter, there's some posts and stuff like that, which get you your 10% off at the store as well. So we're looking forward to what's to come for the Vault Dwellers, and I'm excited and hope that you'll all stick around for the journey. So until next time, take care.
I am here, children.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Vault Dwellers Podcast. You can keep up with Gary Moore at Gary Moore's Art over on Instagram. Keep up with myself, Twitter, on Twitch at MrMac92, and you can't keep up with Hoodie at The Penny Marvels over on Instagram. A very special shout out to Al the Predator Tribesman for creating the intro and outro music. Thanks again for listening. Take care. Bye.